Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is
32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 out west in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Roby Ann Williams.
In Nationwide News, this are 34 civil society organizations and individuals are calling for political leaders to pay more attention to environmental issues ahead of the general elections.
The Health Ministry recommends increasing the retirement age to help reduce poverty among the elderly.
And the ministry says the existing law to force persons to take care of their elderly relatives has never been used.
How many persons have you ever taken to court to maintain their parents?
But that for us is precisely what we're concerned about.
5 dead in road crashes across the island during the Easter holiday weekend.
The IMF has reduced its global growth projections for 2025 because of the wave of recent economic uncertainty triggered by Trump's tariffs.
In news from the rest of the world, over 1,400 special electors in Trinidad and Tobago voted today ahead of Monday's general election.
The IMF says U.S. growth forecast to be hit hardest by Trump's tariffs.
In headline sports, Kishane Thompson to run first race in Jamaica since his Olympic exploits in Paris last year.
And later on our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, 34 civil society groups and individuals are calling on political leaders to address environmental issues while campaigning for the next general elections.
We cannot talk about long-term commitment, long-term development without talking about the environment and how we are planning to protect it and preserve it.
We'll hear from some of them.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, do you agree that the JCF needs more oversight in light of an increase in police fatal shootings? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the Health Ministry is recommending an increase in the retirement age to help reduce poverty among the elderly. Founder and executive chair of the CCRP, Jean-Laurie Chin, will join us.
At 7, the death of Pope Francis on Monday has set in motion a process steeped in tradition and ritual as the Catholic Church moves from one papacy to the next. Who are the contenders to replace him? You'll hear more.
All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app available in Google Play and the App Store. This Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday, April 22, 2025.
This hour is brought to you by the new KFC Saucy Wings. Hot and spicy wings tossed in mango
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. A group of 34 civil society organizations and individuals have joined forces in calling on the country's political leaders to pay more attention to environmental issues affecting the island during the run-up to the general elections. The group made the call in a joint media release on Tuesday. Noragay Banton reports.
Jamaica is renowned for being the land of wood and water. But according to 34 civil society organizations and individuals, the country's environment is not being seriously addressed by the country's two major political parties in their campaigns. On Tuesday, several groups called on political leaders to demonstrate true leadership during the election season by making the environment a central part of their plans for the country's future. The organizations say they note the promises being made by politicians for economic growth and infrastructure projects. However, they say environmental issues, which remain a critical pillar of sustainable development, remain abandoned. One of those making the call is the Jamaica Environment Trust, JET. Its chief executive officer, Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, says the country is in the midst of a crisis.
Jamaica is facing a triple planetary crisis. This is climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. But we are focusing primarily, when we talk about development, we talk about progress, we're really looking at it in very narrow terms. We're looking mostly at economic growth. But the reality is that a healthy economy, sustainable development involves protecting the environment. We cannot talk about our future generation without talking about preserving the environment. We cannot talk about long-term commitment, long-term development without talking about the environment and how we are planning to protect it and preserve it.
The groups say communities across the island are grappling with pollution, illegal sand mining, open burning, and inadequate waste collection. According to JET, complaints are frequently made by individuals who have often already contacted their elected representatives, local authorities, and regulatory agencies like the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA. However, they say these efforts have yielded little or no response. Dr. Rodriguez Moody says Jamaica cannot afford to treat environmental protection as an afterthought.
This is why it is so important and for the conversation to be shifted to focus more on how we are going to see our political leaders show their commitment in protecting the environment, addressing some of the root causes, some of the challenges that are ongoing. We're really asking for a stronger focus and reshaping that conversation that has been so focused on development in such narrow terms.
The civil society groups are also calling for election manifestos which will focus on addressing the degradation of the country's natural environment.
We're asking for them to include strengthened enforcement of existing environmental laws and regulations. We're also looking at transparent and accountable environmental governance. We're not hearing about certain things unless it reaches the public domain. And the fact is we need to be more proactive in how we manage and govern the environment. We want to hear more about specific commitments with timelines to tackle illegal activities that are plaguing the island, such as unregulated sand mining and ongoing persistent pollution of rivers. We also want to be looking at mechanisms for holding all violators accountable, not just the private sector, but also government entities that are involved in environmental breaches.
The groups also include the Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement, Jamaicans for Justice, Seven Oaks Sanctuary for Wildlife, Jamaica Climate Change Youth Council, Stand Up for Jamaica, Freedom Imaginaries, Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, and Seascape Caribbean, among others. Nora Gay Banton for Nationwide News.
The Ministry of Health is recommending an increase in the retirement age to help reduce poverty among the elderly. This is one of several recommendations by the ministry to the Senate Committee on the Care of the Elderly. The Health Ministry also says there is a need for urgent legislative attention to satisfy the needs of Jamaica's aging population. Dana Davey tells us more.
Under the government's current legislative framework, the country's elderly protection mechanism comprises 3 separate acts: the Public Health Act, the Mental Health Act, and the Nursing Home Regulations Act. The Senate Committee is considering the creation of a unified Elderly Care and Protection Act. This would be similar in nature to the Child Care Protection Act, CCPA. According to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Errol Green, a key issue facing elderly Jamaicans is abandonment by relatives.
As to the numbers of social cases in hospital, I can't give you a figure on that today, but I know it is significant because it affects our ability to care for those persons who come to seek support at the hospital, treatment at the respective hospitals, and they can't find a bed. Some persons have to be sitting in chairs for days, weeks even, just in order to find a hospital bed for them to be cared for. So yes, it's a concern for us.
Mr. Green says many are left to languish in the public health system up to the point of death by their families.
There was a case of a gentleman who was hit down by a JUTC bus, and he has a son living in Kingston. The relatives in Clarendon used to come and look about him, and after a while, they just forgot about him. He ended up in the hospital a second time. He died. When contact was made with his son, he said, I don't care what you want to do with him. Don't call me. Do not call me back. And when it was time for the insurance money to be paid out, then you had people coming to me, appealing to me to help them to get a copy or issue them a copy of the death certificate so they could go collect the insurance money from JUTC. And my staff said, no, we're not going to do it. But those are things that we see every day.
Mr. Green pointed out that under law, an order can be issued by the courts forcing relatives to take care of their elderly. However, both the Permanent Secretary and Senator Shireen Golding Campbell agreed that in practice this law has never been used.
I don't know that there was anybody who could cite a single instance where the municipal corporation had taken any action. Yes?
That's the exact point I'm
Yes.
making. I was a town clerk for many years, and I've always asked the inspector of poor for Kingston and St. Andrew, how many persons have you ever taken to court to maintain their parents?
But that for us, PS, is precisely what we're concerned about, because if you've had this law in place but it has never been used, it's a sign that it's not workable.
In order to relieve the burden faced by Jamaicans in their advanced years, the ministry is recommending that the statutory retirement age be increased. It's now 65. The Health Ministry says an increase would help reduce the risk of old age poverty, strengthen social protections, and allow old-aged persons to stay financially independent for longer. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
5 people lost their lives in road crashes across the island during the Easter holiday weekend between Good Friday, April 18 and Easter Monday, April 21. This marks a decrease from the 7 fatalities recorded during the corresponding period last year. Robian Williams reports.
What was a sacred time of reflection and resurrection for many turned into tragedy for several families. On Good Friday, 3 lives were lost in 2 separate traffic collisions. The first crash occurred at around 7:15 p.m. on the Braco Main Road near a beach entrance in Trelawney. The victims have been identified as 29-year-old Michael Fletcher, a taxi operator from Spicy Hill, and 33-year-old Stephen Bruce, a truck driver from Red Dirt. According to police reports, a red Suzuki Baleno and a black Peterbilt truck with a trailer were traveling in opposite directions when they collided. A truck veered off the road, overturned, and struck the car, carrying Fletcher, Bruce, and 2 other men. Later that evening at around 8:40, another fatal crash occurred on the Edward Seaga Highway in St. Anne. The deceased has been identified as 29-year-old Akeem Brooks, a welder from Greenwich Town, Kingston 13. Police say Brooks was driving a Nissan Latio when he lost control of the vehicle in the Unity Valley area. The car overturned. He was ejected from the vehicle. On Easter Monday, 2 more lives were lost in separate incidents. One of the deceased was 36-year-old Nigerian medical doctor Obong Eti of Anotabe in St. Mary. He was a passenger in a blue Honda Fit traveling from Kingston to Anotabe. Reports are that at approximately 5:50 a.m., the driver reportedly swerved to avoid an oncoming vehicle. This caused the Honda Fit to strike an embankment and plunge over a precipice, eventually coming to a rest on the bank of a river. Eti was pronounced dead at hospital. In the other incident, 71-year-old Icodel Wright died after being struck by a minibus around 6:30 a.m. in Crossroads, St. Andrew. Police say Wright was walking on the road when she was hit. She was found lying on the road and later died in hospital. According to the Road Safety Unit of the Island Traffic Authority, 112 road fatalities have been recorded since the start of the year. This represents an 18% decrease compared to the 124 deaths recorded during the corresponding period in 2024. The unit says the leading causes of fatal crashes remain excessive speeding, failure to maintain proper lane discipline, and pedestrians crossing roads improperly. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Minister of Transport Daryl Vaz says the accidents over the holiday further validate the need for a national road safety campaign despite the overall decline in fatalities in 2025.
As I take note of the reduction in fatalities year over year, I still am very concerned and saddened about the amount of people who were killed on the roads over the Easter weekend. We had a National Road Safety Council meeting last week, Thursday. We were able to announce that the Ministry of Transport has got an allocation of approximately $180 million for this fiscal year. $180 million that is going to be allocated to the Ministry of Transport, estimated from ticket fines. Those amounts will be paid out probably monthly or bi-monthly, so it won't be a lump sum, but it's a far way in terms of being able to put together a holistic approach to national road safety in terms of public education.
Mr. Vaz says the ministry is seeking to overhaul road safety awareness in Jamaica by collaborating with both international and local entities. You're listening to Nationwide at 5. Stay with us.
Celebrate 26 years with IQ Optical. Enjoy 26% off your prescription eyewear and sunglasses this month only. Book your appointment or take your prescription to IQ Optical in New Kingston, Manor Park, or Drexel. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
16 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 out west in Montego Bay.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC Saucy Wings with 2 new flavors. Saucy Wings. Mango habanero and buffalo. Spicy. KFC we have Saucy Wings. Delicious. Spicy the best. So a new KFC Saucy Wings crunch the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New Saucy Wings is for me.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC Saucy Wings. It's finger-licking good.
Taxi drivers, are you ready to earn more? Join Amber on Time and keep 100% of your fares in the first month. No commission, no catch. Plus, in your second month, we'll install a free vehicle tracker to help keep you and your car safe. Stolen vehicle recovery and panic button response are also on us. And guess what? On May 3rd and 4th, come to 13 Haining Road. Snacks and drinks are on us. Come link up, ask questions, sign up on the spot, and level up with Amber on Time, Jamaica's taxi app built just for you.
Already have a T-Tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. Download the My T-Tag app, available on Google Play Store or the App Store, and add funds to your T-Tag from anywhere you're there. Also, keep checking the LED screens at our toll plazas for periodic promo codes, which will give you bonus T-Tag credit when you enter it in the My T-Tag app. Top up your T-Tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
Continuing the news, President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, Dr. Mark Smith, is again calling for major investments in the country's education sector. He was speaking at the opening ceremony at the JTA's annual conference at Ocean Coral Spring in Trelawney on Tuesday.
Where are our institutions of learning in preparing the next generation to safeguard a more prosperous and meaningful Jamaica? We are still producing young citizens for a world that is rapidly shrinking in our rearview mirrors. We need to focus a lot more on our energies on preparing for what is coming. We need to look through the windscreen, not drive through the rearview window. We face an existential threat of becoming obsolete even as we passionately teach a curriculum that is out of step with the direction the world is heading. So what am I advocating for? We need to make a historic investment in education to catapult our education system into the future, thus safeguarding our collective economic fortunes. This should be our single greatest obsession as a people.
Dr. Smith again highlighted the need for a more competitive salary for teachers in comparison to other professions in Jamaica.
If we're serious about transforming this country into a knowledge-based economy, we must address the issues impacting teacher remuneration, conditions of service. This requires providing highly competitive salaries when compared to other professions, thus retaining our smartest, our brightest, and most committed. Creating a remuneration package that serves to stem the exodus of teachers while serving to attract a new generation of highly infused Jamaicans. As my colleague from Germany once said to me, in Germany, teaching is a highly sought-after profession. I look forward to the day when I can say the same about Jamaica. Teacher compensation must be commensurate with what we believe is a market rate.
Dr. Mark Smith, President of the Jamaica Teachers Association.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
In Trinidad and Tobago, more than 1,400 special electors cast their ballots on Tuesday as special voting officially began. This is ahead of the country's general elections set for next Monday, April 28. Special electors include members of the protective services, election staff, and others who are unable to vote on election day. The Elections and Boundaries Commission, the EBC, says the marginal constituency of St. Joseph recorded the highest turnout of special voters today. The EBC says more than 16,000 special electors are expected to cast their votes in the upcoming days. Special voters can cast their ballots daily until voting closes on Sunday, April 27.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, says the U.S. is forecast to be hit the hardest among advanced economies due to the uncertainty caused by President Donald Trump's tariffs. On Tuesday, the IMF says growth in the U.S. is now expected to be just 1.8% this year. This is a significant drop from the IMF's initial estimate of 2.7% in January. Meanwhile, U.S. markets are rebounding following losses on Monday. The markets have been rattled by Trump's attack on the chairman of the U.S. Central Bank, Jerome Powell. The president called Mr. Powell a major loser for not cutting interest rates. Pressed on Trump's comments, the IMF's chief economist says it's critical for central banks to remain independent and will do what's necessary to bring inflation under control.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour, 34 civil society groups and individuals are calling for political leaders to pay more attention to environmental issues ahead of the general elections.
The Health Ministry recommends increasing the retirement age to help reduce poverty among the elderly.
And the ministry says the existing law to enforce persons to take care of their elderly relatives has never been used.
How many persons have you ever taken to court to maintain their appearance?
But that for us is precisely what we're concerned about.
5 dead in road crashes across the island during the Easter holiday weekend. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
What makes a burrito bun so attractive?
We have a history of strong financial performance and growth, demonstrating resilience.
Our leverage remains low relative to our peers.
The bond is available in both Jamaican and US dollars, ranging from tenures between 2 to 10 years at attractive interest rates. Plus, it's expected to be listed, which will enhance liquidity for all investors.
Burrito bonds are burrito strong. Download our prospectus, call a burrito advisor, and invest today.
New KFC saucy wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC saucy wings with 2 new flavors. Saucy wings. Mango habanero and buffalo. Spicy. KFC we have saucy wings. Delicious. Spicy the best. So a new KFC saucy wings crunch the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New saucy wings is for me.
New KFC saucy wings, delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC saucy wings, it's finger licking good.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jamaica's Olympic 100 meter silver medalist Kishane Thompson and the American Olympic 100 meters hurdles champion Messiah Russell headline a list of athletes confirmed for the 7th staging of the Racers Grand Prix set for the National Stadium on Saturday, June 7. Thompson will face the likes of Oblique Seville, who won last year's 100 meters, and the British record holder Zionel Hughes in the blue ribbon event. Russell will face world record holder Toby Amusan, among others, in the 100 meters hurdles. Other big names confirmed for the meet: the 400 meters world champion Antonio Watson, long jump world and Olympic silver medalist Wayne Pinnock, the Clayton sisters Tia Antina and Brian Lavelle. CEO of Racers Grand Prix Devon Blake told Nationwide Sports that they're confident they've got the names to do the trick.
Yes, man, I believe Kishane is a star. Oblique is loved universally in Jamaica. Toby Amusan. We have Sears. Those are quality athletes. Some of them were even in the previous meet that occurred the other day. So we're looking forward to a grand time, and we believe it will be a success.
Blake says a lot of emphasis will be placed on making the event spectator-friendly.
There is no other meet like Racers Grand Prix on the local calendar. We have consistently been able to have the meet every year. And this year we are upping the fan engagement aspect of it with the fantasy sport field with Qletics, that partnership. So fans who are within the stadium will be able to be engaged with the races. So it's not just sit and watch. You'll be engaged on your phone. You put together your lineup that you think the winners are, and we'll be offering some prizes for that.
CEO of Racers Grand Prix Devon Blake. The meet will have 11 events, including all 3 short sprints, along with the 400 meters hurdles for men and women, the sprint hurdles men and women. Spectators will have a chance at free admission to the bleachers if they sign up on the Racers webpage from May 1 to May 31. Starting June 1, though, the cost of admission to the bleachers will be $1,000. Grandstand finish line is $5,000 and the regular grandstand is $3,000. Sports Minister Olivia Grange announced that her ministry, through the Sport Development Foundation, has pledged the $10 million towards the staging of the meet. Jamaica's successful team returned to the island from Trinidad and Tobago a short while ago, well, just about 4 or so hours ago. After finishing top of the Carifta Games medal table for a 39th straight year, the Jamaicans picked up 30 gold, 27 silver and 21 bronze for a total of 78. Minister of Sport Olivia Grange was among the officials to welcome home the athletes.
I'm so very, very proud of all of you. I wished for you when you were leaving an injury-free competition. And I'm hoping that is what it was. But whatever it is, of course, we're going to work on it and we're going to make sure you're healed properly and that you're ready for the next round.
Sports Minister Olivia Grange. Kamari Kennedy of Calabar won the Austin Sealy Award for the most outstanding athlete of the meet with record-breaking performances in the under-17 boys shot put and discus events. World and Olympic pole vault champion Mundo Duplantis claimed one of the biggest prizes in sport. He won the Laureus World Sportsman of the Year award yesterday. The Swedish superstar was presented with the accolade at the Laureus World Sports Awards in Madrid in a ceremony that brought together the greatest athletes not only of the past 12 months but of the 21st century. It was 4th time lucky for Duplantis, who had been nominated for this award for the past 3 years. He now joins the Jamaican megastar Usain Bolt as the only track and field athletes to win this award. Bolt won it 4 times. The 25-year-old Duplantis had a superb 2024 season, winning his 2nd world indoor title in Glasgow before going on to take Olympic gold in Paris with a world record. He then broke the world record again at the Celestia Diamond League meeting the following month. U.S. gymnast Simone Biles won her 4th Laureus World Sportswoman of the Year awards. The awards are voted on by the 69 world-class athletes of the Laureus World Sports Academy. Matheus Nunes scored in stoppage time as Manchester City took a big step toward Champions League football for next season with a 2-1 win over Aston Villa in the English Premier League today at the Etihad. The late winner moved the four-time defending champions up to third in the standings with the top five securing a place in the Champions League next year. Nunes fired home from a tight angle in the 4th minute of added time. The game had looked destined to end in a draw after Bernardo Silva's first half goal had been cancelled out by Marcus Rashford with a penalty.
Marmoush, burst of pace, and Bernardo Silva, as a player on loan from City's great rivals, levels calmly for Aston Villa. Doku skipping clear of Disasi, cross the face, and it's Matheus Nunes who wins it at the death for Manchester City.
The Jamaican international Leon Bailey was not listed in Villa's matchday squad despite not being listed as injured. This is the third game running that he's not been listed in the matchday squad. And that will do it for sports now, though. We'll be back at 6:05 with lots more in our major sportscast.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
The future is here. Meet your new best friend, the Samsung Galaxy S25. Unlock your true potential with this powerful but sleek AI companion. The S25 has exciting features such as the enhanced AI and camera. Let's transform the future together. Ask about our trade-in, smart payment, and insurance protection plans. Get yours today at select digital stores, Crossroads, Tropical Plaza, Spanish Town, downtown, and also available at the SMS store, 12 Ruth Venner Road, Kingston 10. SMS Group is your gateway to technology.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jack on my figure, dig the wall. Our Total Tools. Lead walk a figure, trim the lawn. We have everything your job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them, and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, or Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today. New KFC Saucy Wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC Saucy Wings with 2 new flavors. Saucy Wings. Mango habanero and buffalo. Hot, spicy. KFC we have Saucy Wings. Delicious, spicy, the best. So a new KFC Saucy Wings crush the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New Saucy Wings is for me.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC Saucy Wings. It's finger licking good.
Already have a T-Tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. Here's a pro tip. If you keep forgetting to add funds to your T-Tag, you can use the auto top-up feature in the My T-Tag app. You can set it to automatically top up your T-Tag at a specific time each day, week, or month. Or you can set it to automatically top up your T-Tag when your account balance goes below any value you choose. Top up your T-Tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
Tune in to the Consumer Hour and CliffViews Online on April 23 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast the commissioning of the Parnassus irrigation system and the launch of the Parnassus Agro Park. Exciting things are growing at the Parnassus Agro Park. Now opening in phases, this 700-acre hub of opportunity is transforming former sugarcane lands into a thriving center for diversified agriculture, with 3 brand new wells delivering over 9.6 million gallons of water daily and over 1.5 billion already invested in infrastructure, including roads, pipelines, pumps, and more. The park is fully geared to support small farmers. So tune in to the Consumer Hour and CliffViews Online on April 23 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the official opening of the Parnassus Agro Park in Clarendon. Catch the live stream on Nationwide 90 FM's YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. All this and more, only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Experience the joy of buying a brand new Hyundai without breaking the bank. Yes, buying a brand new car should never leave you broke. From stylish designs and safety features to comfortable driving and reliability, Hyundai is the choice. Hyundai vehicles come standard with 2 years free service and 5 years warranty and roadside assistance for your peace of mind. Drive 2 years without service cost and 5 years without fear of being stranded. Hyundai. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good afternoon, Siobhan.
Welcome back to the cover story, Mr. Hughes. How are you?
I am good.
I'm happy to hear it. You were most missed.
So I gather. and I seriously want to say thanks to literally the thousands of people who called, left messages, offered prayers, their sympathies, all kinds of well wishes. I want to tell you, thanks to all of you. Car, answer and respond to everyone, but, I feel as if there's something worthwhile doing this job.
Yes, Mr. Hughes. It's the benefit of leaving a indelible impact on the world.
I haven't left yet, though.
But your impact yet is still felt.
Yes. All right, in our cover story this afternoon, a very important development. Listen to this. A group of 34 civil society organizations and individuals are joining forces this afternoon on calling on the country's major political leaders to pay more attention to environmental issues affecting the island during the run-up to the general elections. The groups made the call in a joint media release today. According to the groups and individuals, the country's environment is not being seriously addressed by the two major political parties in their campaigns.
The organizations say they note the promises being made by politicians for economic growth and infrastructure projects. However, they say environmental issues, which remain a critical pillar of sustainable development, remain abandoned. One of those making the call is the Jamaica Environment Trust, JET.
Its Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, says Jamaica is in the midst of a crisis. The group say communities across the island are grappling with pollution, illegal sand mining, open burning, and inadequate waste collection. According to JET, complaints are frequently made by individuals who have often already contacted their elected representatives, local authorities, and regulatory agencies like the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA. However, they say those efforts have yielded very little or no response.
Dr. Rodriguez Moody goes on to say Jamaica cannot afford to treat environmental protection as an afterthought. The civil society groups are also calling for election manifestos which will focus on addressing the degradation of the country's natural environment. The groups also include the Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement, Jamaicans for Justice, Seven Oaks Sanctuary for Wildlife, Jamaica Climate Change Youth Council, Stand Up for Jamaica, Freedom Imaginaires, Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal JAMB, and the Seascape Caribbean, among others. To discuss further, we're being joined by CEO of Jamaica Environment Trust, Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, a freelance writer, blogger for the Caribbean Climate Justice Alliance, Emma Lewis, and the executive director for the Caribbean Coastal Area Management Foundation, Ingrid Parchment. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ladies. And I think
Happy Earth Day.
Who's that? Hello?
Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.
Oh, yes. so true. Today's Earth Day. And I want to begin with you, Emma Lewis, freelance writer and blogger. Jamaica is seemingly behind the world when it comes to environmental politics, quote unquote, in that we do not seem to have developed a sense in our body politic of ensuring that environmental issues are front and center, that we can get the two major political parties and the leaders on the record on specific issues. It seems as if we're way behind in that regard. Why?
I wish I could answer that, and that's really what we're calling for. But really, I think there's it's a question. I think our political leaders are perhaps not joining up the dots. If you see what I mean, that realizing that that there are connections. Everything is connected as far as the environment is concerned, and there's also a kind of, as we know, short-term thinking, which permeates our politics. And the issues of the environment and climate change are so huge and require long-term thinking. They require far-sightedness. They require planning, and it's perhaps difficult for politicians to convey those issues to their constituents, and so they fall back on quick, short-term solutions, which work for a little while, almost like a Band-Aid on some of our environmental issues.
But we have the airtime now. Let us help to do some of the connecting of the dots between why it is important for us to pay attention to what's happening when we degrade the environment. For example, we cut down the trees and the forest. So when we get a good shower or two of rain, yes, it doesn't end up costing us millions of dollars. And then we hear we have to go borrow or run a deficit because we just don't have enough resources. We're not doing that kind of connecting the dots, Dr. Rodriguez Moody.
No, we're not. The fact is that when you look at some of the decisions that have been made, they tend to be the ones based on cost. So it's cheaper to maybe do just fixing the road versus fixing the road with adequate drainage to accommodate the change in rainfall patterns, hence why you have flooding. So if we talk about the long-term planning that Emma mentioned, the long-term thinking, sometimes it is more expensive. Sometimes it does mean that hard decisions have to be made, sacrifices have to be made, but what it means is that in the long term, you're not probably spending twice or three times as much as you would have if you just did it right from the very beginning. And that's the thing about environment, that it's urgent. We're in the midst of a crisis, and we cannot continue to be reactionary, and unfortunately, this is what we have been doing time after time.
But Ingrid Parchment, the reflection of our body politics is a reflection really of the issues which hold the country. And is it then the blame to be placed at the feet of politicians when it seems it's more of a countrywide issue where there's no interest really in the environment comparative to other concerns such as the economy, such as finances, health, security?
I think, 10 years ago I probably would have agreed with you, but I think as we're talking to people on the ground, the persons who are coming to us, they're doing their own beach cleanup without anybody else telling them. They are talking to us about the value of keeping trees. They're talking about the value of mangroves. So people in communities are saying that they are realizing the importance of it, and they're making a change. But the government has a wider responsibility, if you will, to put laws in place and to put money behind enforcement, to put alternative livelihoods, to look at nature-based solutions, to ratify the Escazú Agreement. There are so many things that they have responsibility for and control over. And also I think there's a need for a national joined-up approach, if you will, government, civil society, private sector, in how it is that we deal with this, because when the heavy rains come, we saw Beryl, there are still people who are reeling from the effects of Beryl. They have not yet been able to cope because certain things have not been put in place after successive hurricanes that are impacting their lives. So, if government is having an election, I understand the need for money. I understand the need for projects. But if these projects are not done in a way that considers the environment, considers the impacts of the persons that might be displaced, whether it is fishers or farmers or other persons, to put these developments in place. Whether you're doing some, and then you talk about when something happens, you say, well, we can clean up that spill that took place at Rocky Point or at Rio Cobre. But the long-term impact of that action, because you did not put the proper things in place, people in that community will have to live with it. Mm-hmm. But I would say to Jamaicans that we have the vote. So we, as a country, need to let politicians know that this cannot be business as usual.
We're up on a break. After the break, we're going to come back with Teresa Rodriguez Moody, Emma Lewis, and Ingrid Parchment. Environmental issues and the political campaign that we're into. What is your top of the mind issue in terms of the environment in your community that you must get your aspiring parliamentarians to address after the break?
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is...
It's 15 minutes to 6.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken.
Burrata! Buy a 3-piece hat-trick meal and get an extra piece free for a limited time only is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and 27 out west in Montego Bay.
Since 1995, we've been your go-to source for everything related to billiards, amusement machines, and electronics. With locations at 1A Lindsay Terrace, Kingston 10, and the Village Plaza, Big Bridge, Savannah, Lamar, we offer top-quality pool table parts and accessories, cutting-edge gaming machines, and more. We also specialize in assembly, sales, and service of amusement machines. We provide unmatched customer service, expert solutions, and products tailored to your needs. Who are we? We are Eclipse Enterprise. Telephone 876-960-3891.
New KFC saucy wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC saucy wings with 2 new flavors. Saucy wings. Mango habanero and buffalo. Spicy. KFC we have saucy wings. Delicious. Spicy the best. So a new KFC saucy wings crush the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New saucy wings is for me.
New KFC saucy wings. Delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC saucy wings. It's finger licking good.
The future is here. Meet your new best friend, the Samsung Galaxy S25. Unlock your true potential with this powerful but sleek AI companion. The S25 has exciting features such as the enhanced AI and camera. Let's transform the future together. Ask about her trade-in, smart payment, and insurance protection plans. Get yours today at select digital stores, Crossroads, Tropical Plaza, Spanish Town, downtown, and also available at the SMS store, 12 Ruth Venner Road, Kingston 10. SMS Group is your gateway to technology.
Already have a T-tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. You can now conveniently add funds to your T-tag on WhatsApp. Just save our T-tag WhatsApp number 876-355-3336 and send us a message when you want to top up. Top up your T-tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
Welcome back to Nationwide at 5. We're talking environmental issues and the lack of political discourse surrounding them. We have with us CEO for the Jamaican Environment Trust, that's Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, freelance writer and blogger for the Caribbean Climate Justice Alliance, Emma Lewis, and Executive Director for the Caribbean Coastal Area Management Foundation, Ingrid Parchment.
So, ladies, let me bring you right down to brass tacks now, because environmental issues can be very diverse and wide-ranging, although interconnected. Yes? But let us begin with the Emma Lewis, Climate Justice Alliance. What are the 2-3 top issues that someone, a voter listening, who has an interest in the environment, should be asking of the candidates when they come knocking at their gates in terms of the environment? What are some of the specific questions they should be asking them?
Okay. they should be asking their candidates, what are you doing to partner with us, with citizens? What partnerships are you planning to have with local groups, civil society groups? I don't mean the people necessarily the people who signed letters, but citizens in the communities. What are your plans to work with them to improve their communities? That would be one. Secondly, to ask them to identify 2 or 3 issues in their constituency where they could actually think they could make a difference and where they would like to, what they would like to focus on. For example, illegal dumping, open burning, that kind of thing. That can be. These might seem like small things, but they're very important to the community. So I'd like the community to ask them, what are you doing about these things? And those would be local issues, because it's all local, really. So it helps for them, for the political candidates, to know what are the real environmental issues on the ground. And also, I would like to say that, the issue of climate justice is really including everybody and including those people who might not have had much of a say. So I would like, the constituents to ask their candidates, well, what are you doing working with youth who are unemployed? How are you going to help them, bring them into the picture and help them create a better environment for us? Or elderly, disabled, and so on. So those marginalized communities, what are you doing with them? What are you doing to help them and to bring them in and to raise their concerns and issues?
And Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, in terms of the elections are coming up, so there are expectations that the parties will produce their manifestos. What are the issues that you believe in terms of environmental impact should be included in those documents?
One of the root causes for a lot of our issues relate to environmental laws, either the lack of enforcement or inadequate laws and regulations, but also the monitoring, the environmental monitoring. We time and time again, when we look at the main issues, it has to do with that. So we tend to be reactive, and we're trying to fix an issue after the fact, and we make all of these promises. And in fact, when you follow up with the promises, a lot of the actions that are the promised actions actually are not done. So I think one of the big ticket items that I'd really like to hear is how you're going to fix the issues related to environmental monitoring, enforcement, and management. And that also relates to how you're going to deal with our main regulatory authority. Also, one of the things, and these are bigger issues and Emma really spoke to some of the community issues, which are very important, but we also need to talk about some of the bigger items as well. So, even in terms of our environmental laws, which everything, it's an offense. So it's strict liability, and it tends to go to court. Maybe we need to be considering other forms of actions, whether it is administrative penalties when there is a law that is broken, so that everything does not have to end up being fought out and dealt with and handled in court, because that can also create some significant delays and also just some challenges overall. That would require that long-term thinking, that long-term approach that we spoke about earlier. But I also want to talk about the whole issue of pollution, environmental degradation. We talk about illegal burning. I think almost every community is struggling with this waste management. And these are, some of the solutions to these things are not unknown. They're known. Resources have to be put in place to handle the issues. And therefore, we need to be addressing some of those issues in a very precise, intentional way.
Listening to you ladies, and I'm going to put this to Ingrid Parchman first, Executive Director of the Caribbean Coastal Area Management Foundation. It seems as if all three of you, including the release you put out today, are really outlining a green agenda, the outlines, the sketches of a green agenda that we should be promoting, and possibly it's time for all of you to come, not a third political party, but with a green party. Oh, and I want a green environmental party. Oh, I didn't even realize I said green. But forget that. I'm not talking about the political color green, but the environmental issue green. That it's time for us to have a political movement in Jamaica that speaks to environmental issues, green issues, like we have in several other countries. The green parties always hovering there about getting 8, 9, 10% of the votes, and really pushing the agenda and pushing the mainstream party to be more sensitive, to be more aware of these issues. Ingrid Parchment, isn't it time for you to all think about it? I'm being provocative.
I would be the one to get that question, right?
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the idea of having a very active movement is a good idea. I don't know that you were mentioned that we should be a political party per se, but it is providing that information, that push, that advocacy.
Yes.
For the environment to these parties. But we want people to understand that environment is for all of us.
Yes.
You know? So while we are strong and we have some information, have some knowledge, it needs to become part of the norm. The same way we talk about development, crime, health, which are all impacted by the environment. I mean, people can go and hide off in areas. If you have a bush place next door to you that's not been cleaned, you get mosquito rats. You know, so all of the things are related to that in a very real way.
Yes.
I don't know that it is lack of knowledge. And that's a challenge. Maybe this is a question that we need to be asking. Maybe one of the debates should be with us and the politicians about, the environment. That might be something that could be considered.
It may not be lack of knowledge, ladies, but organization. To get organized, so it becomes focused, it becomes strategic, it becomes consistent. That's what I'm thinking.
Off we go.
It's an interesting thought, and we would. That's something that we would have to definitely have some real conversations and discussions about.
Well, the core group is there. The core group is there. The 34 names and organizations. You have the more than a core group there to begin with. Yes? Including people who know a little thing or two about organizing, advocacy, lobby, fundraising, knowledge. It's there.
Plus the media, right?
Plus the media.
I hear you, but I'm just wondering if we need to now have another political party. I really honestly think that we need to be changing, like both main political parties need to change their whole approach to what they consider as development. Because right now when you talk about development, it's very narrow. They look at it as, GDP, and then they look at it, this is creating jobs. And I'm not saying that's not important. That is important. But it's the how. It's in the creating of the jobs. How many people are you pushing off of the land and are not able to sustain themselves? In creating the jobs, how many communities are now going to be at risk to storm surge because you decided to, wipe out a protected area. So I think that it's more along the line changing the conversation, and here is where we're starting, because obviously if nobody's asking for the conversation, if nobody's asking for these things to be spoken about, and if everybody's only focused on the economy, then that's all we'll hear about. So what we're basically saying is let's change the conversation, let's put environment at the center, because you can't have a healthy economy. You can't have healthy economies, and you can't be talking about sustainable development if you don't put environment at the center. It's more than just lip service.
But and I'd like to put it then to you, Emma Lewis, and further of Mr. Hughes's point. Then we received this request essentially from the 34 groups, and I believe it's not normal or usual for this to happen. Is there a need then to strengthen that environmental voice in order to capture the mind share of politicians who might be more focused on areas that they feel get more play with the average Jamaican?
Yes, I think there is. There's a need for more youth voices. We do have young voices, but we need more young people speaking up about on the environment. We need more, grassroots voices, I would say. People who are actually impacted by these issues to speak up and to express their concerns and tell the country how it's affecting them. So I think there needs to be an amplification of voices and a widening of the voices. So it's fine it's great to have a core group, and I think we're a pretty amazing core group. But I think also, sorry, hello?
Yes, we're here.
Sorry, I was interrupted. We're an amazing core group, but I think we need to widen the discussion among the communities. And I think that there needs to be a different way of thinking, as Teresa was saying. Pope Francis had a brilliant document about climate change 10 years ago, and he said there needs to be a distinctive way of looking at things, a change of mindset, policies, education, public education, and so on, and action, because we want to see action and less talk.
We have to leave it there, but we'd love to continue it. Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, Emma Lewis, and Ingrid Parchment, thanks so much for starting the ball roll. Yeah, but we now have to pick it up and put it to the politicians, and we'll get them out here for the campaign to hear them on the issues. They tend to talk about the solid waste management issues, but the other issues, they don't. Yes? Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's a cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
3 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Nora Gay Banton. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has reduced its global growth projections for 2025 because of the wave of recent economic uncertainty. That's according to its latest World Economic Outlook released on Wednesday. Growth forecasts for Latin America and the Caribbean have also been cut as part of the IMF's latest projections. Mahira Stewart tells us more.
The IMF says following an unprecedented series of shocks in the preceding years, global growth was stable yet underwhelming through 2024 and was projected to remain so in 2025. However, the IMF says the landscape has changed as governments around the world reorder policy priorities. Since the release of the January 2025 WEO update, a series of new tariff measures by the United States and countermeasures by its trading partners have rocked global markets. The IMF says this unpredictability has had additional negative impacts also on economic activity and the outlook for global growth. Under the reference forecast that incorporates information as of April 4, global growth is projected to drop to 2.8% in 2025 and 3% in 2026. This is a downward revision from 3.3% for both years in the last update in January. The downgrade puts global growth well below the average of 3.7%. For Latin America and the Caribbean, growth has been revised down to a regional average of 2% in 2025 and 2.4% in 2026. This is a reduction of 0.5% and 0.3% respectively. The IMF says revisions to growth reflect weaker than expected activity in late 2024 and early 2025, as well as the impact of tariffs imposed by the United States, the associated uncertainty and geopolitical tensions, and a tightening of financing conditions. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
A group of 34 civil society organizations and individuals have joined forces in calling on political leaders to pay more attention to environmental issues affecting the country during the run-up to the general elections. The group made the call in a joint media release on Tuesday. According to the 34 civil society organizations and individuals, the country's environment is not being seriously addressed by the country's two major political parties in their campaigns. On Tuesday, several groups called on political leaders to demonstrate true leadership during the election season by making the environment a central part of their plans for the country's future. The organizations say they note the promises being made by politicians for economic growth and infrastructure projects. However, they say environmental issues, which remain a critical pillar of sustainable development, remain abandoned. One of those making the call is the Jamaica Environment Trust, JET. Its chief executive officer, Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, says the country is in the midst of a crisis.
Jamaica is facing a triple planetary crisis. This is climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. But we are focusing primarily, when we talk about development, we talk about progress, we're really looking at it in very narrow terms. We're looking mostly at economic growth. But the reality is that a healthy economy, sustainable development involves protecting the environment. We cannot talk about our future generation without talking about preserving the environment. We cannot talk about long-term commitment, long-term development without talking about the environment and how we are planning to protect it and preserve it.
Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, CEO of Jamaica Environment Trust. The groups say communities across the island are grappling with pollution, illegal sand mining, open burning, and inadequate waste collection. The Ministry of Health is recommending an increase in the retirement age to help reduce poverty among the elderly. This is one of several recommendations by the ministry to the Senate Committee on the Care of the Elderly. The Health Ministry also says there is a need for urgent legislative attention to satisfy the needs of Jamaica's aging population. Under the government's current legislative framework, the country's elderly protection mechanism comprises three separate acts: the Public Health Act, the Mental Health Act, and the Nursing Home Regulations Act. The Senate Committee is considering the creation of a unified Elderly Care and Protection Act. This would be similar in nature to the Child Care and Protection Act. According to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Errol Green, a key issue facing elderly Jamaicans is abandonment by relatives.
As to the numbers of social cases in hospital, I can't give you a figure on that today, but I know it is significant because it affects our ability to care for those persons who come to seek support at the hospital, treatment at the respective hospitals, and they can't find a bed. Some persons have to be sitting in chairs for days, weeks even, just in order to find a hospital bed for them to be cared for. So yes, it's a concern for us.
Mr. Green says many are left to languish in the public health system up to the point of death by their families.
There was a case of a gentleman who was hit down by a JUTC bus, and he has a son living in Kingston. The relatives in Clarendon used to come and look about him, and after a while, they just forgot about him. He ended up in the hospital a second time. He died. When contact was made with his son, he said, I don't care what you want to do with him. Don't call me. Do not call me back. And when it was time for the insurance money to be paid out, then you had people coming to me, appealing to me to help them to get a copy or issue them a copy of the death certificate so they could go collect the insurance money from JUTC. And my staff said, no, we're not going to do it. But those are things that we see every day.
Mr. Green pointed out that under law, an order can be issued by the courts forcing relatives to take care of their elderly. However, both the Permanent Secretary and Senator Shireen Golden Campbell agreed that in practice, this law has never been used. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC Saucy Wings with 2 new flavors. Saucy Wings. Mango habanero and buffalo. Hot, spicy. KFC we have Saucy Wings. Delicious, spicy, the best. So a new KFC Saucy Wings crush the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New Saucy Wings is for me.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC Saucy Wings. It's finger-licking good.
At Kia, driving your future means joining the movement that inspires. Whether it's the small but mighty Picanto hatchback or the top-of-the-line tech-rich Sorento SUV, there's a Kia that perfectly fits your lifestyle and your budget. ATL Automotive has gotten Jamaicans behind the wheels of thousands of Kias for the past 7 years. And we're ready to get you behind the wheel of a Kia too. Simply visit the nearest Kia showroom for a test drive now. Plug into the sun with Peak Energy Solutions. We are your affordable provider for everything solar. Grid tie or off-grid solar P systems, solar air conditioners, panels, lithium batteries, solar supplies, and installation. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hills, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jamaica's Olympic 100 meter silver medalist Keshane Thompson and the American Olympic 100 meters hurdles champion Masai Russell headline a list of athletes confirmed for the 7th staging of the Racers Grand Prix set for the National Stadium on Saturday, June 7. Thompson will face the likes of Oblique Seville, who won last year's 100 metres, and British record holder Zarnell Hughes in the Blue Ribbon event. Russell will face world record holder Toby Amusan, amongst others, in the 100 metres hurdles. Other big names confirmed for the meet: 400 metres world champion Antonio Watson, long jump world and Olympic silver medalist Wayne Pinnock, the Clayton twins Tia Antina and Brian Lavelle. CEO of Racers Grand Prix Devon Blake told Nationwide Sports that they're confident they've got the names to do the trick.
Yes, man, I believe Keshane is a star. Oblique is loved universally in Jamaica. Toby Amusan. We have Sears. Those are quality athletes. Some of them were even in the previous meet that occurred the other day. So we're looking forward to a grand time and we believe it will be a success.
Blake says a lot of emphasis will be placed on making the event spectator friendly.
There is no other meet like Racers Grand Prix on the local calendar. We have consistently been able to have the meet every year. And this year we are upping the fan engagement aspect of it with a fantasy sport field with Qletics, that partnership. So fans who are within the stadium will be able to be engaged with the races. So it's not just sit and watch. You'll be engaged on your phone. You put together your lineup that you think the winners are, and we'll be offering some prizes for that.
CEO of Racers Grand Prix Devon Blake. The meet will have 11 events, including all 3 short sprints, along with the 400 meters hurdles men and women and the sprint hurdles men and women. Spectators will have a chance at free admission to the bleachers if they sign up on the Racers webpage starting May 1 to May 31. Now, June 1 will see the cost of admission to the same bleachers going up $1,000. Grand Slam finish line is $5,000 and the regular grandstand is at $3,000. Sports Minister Olivia Grange announced that her ministry through the Sport Development Foundation has pledged $10 million towards the staging of the meet. Jamaica's successful team returned to the island from Trinidad and Tobago today after finishing top of the Carifta Games medal table for a 39th straight year. The Jamaicans picked up 30 gold, 27 silver and 21 bronze for a total of 78 medals. And Sports Minister Olivia Grange was amongst the officials who welcomed home the team today.
I'm so very, very proud of all of you. I wished for you when you were leaving an injury-free competition. And I'm hoping that is what it was. But whatever it is, of course, we're going to work on it and we're going to make sure you're healed properly and that you're ready for the next round.
And Grange reminded the athletes that they're traveling the path paved by others before them.
There are many who have paved the way, even with you today, as they become members of your support team. They have paved the way for you. And there are many athletes who have done tremendously well, who are now considered elite athletes. You can be as good, as great, or even greater. The future is yours. You just have to apply yourself, you have to be disciplined, and you have to reach for the stars. Nothing is beyond you. I know that.
Sports Minister Olivia Grange. Kamari Kennedy of Calabar won the Austin Seeley Award for the most outstanding athletes of the meet with record-breaking performances in the under-17 boys shot put and discus events. World and Olympic pole vault champion Mundo Duplantis claimed one of the biggest prizes in sports by winning the Laureus World Sportsman of the Year award. The Swedish superstar was presented with the accolade at the Laureus World Sports Awards in Madrid in a ceremony that brought together the greatest athletes not only of the past 12 months but the 21st century. It was fourth time lucky for Duplantis, who had been nominated for this award for the past 3 years. He now joins the Jamaican megastar Usain as the only track and field athletes to win this award. Bolt won it 4 times. The 25-year-old Duplantis had a superb 2024, winning his second world indoor title in Glasgow before going on to win Olympic gold in Paris with a world record performance. He then broke the world record again at the Celestia Diamond League meeting the following month. U.S. gymnast Simone Biles won her 4th Laureus World Sportswoman of the Year award. The awards are voted on by 69 world-class athletes of the Laureus World Sports Academy. Former American sprinter Wally Spearman says the rivalry between Usain Bolt and Johan Blake was just as fierce as it was against the other athletes from other countries. During his career, Bolt won 8 Olympic gold and 11 World Championship medals, gold medals that is, while Blake has 2 Olympic gold and 2 World Championship gold. Bolt is also the record holder for the 100 meters 9.58 and the 200 meters 19.19, both set in 2009 in the German capital. Speaking on Ready, Set, Go, Spearman says the fight for the hierarchy in Jamaican male sprinting reached its zenith at the London 2012 Olympic Games, where Blake picked up silver behind Bolt in the 100 and 200 meters. Spearman says Bolt was furious when Blake predicted he would run sub 19 seconds to win the 200 meters final at that Olympic Games.
Disrespecting this. He's like, dude, feeling himself. And he's like, this is my time right now. He knows that it's my time right now. Ain't nobody gonna beat me. He's like, you could beat me in the 100, but you ain't gonna beat me in the 200. That's my baby. I ain't going in 200. Nobody's beating me. Here we go again. I'm like, hey, fool, I'm in a race, man. He said, what? This ain't about you. We boys, I can talk to you like this. Shut up, just listen. I'm venting right now. I was like, all right, cool, no problem.
Wallace Spearman and Bolt, they suffered defeat to Blake in both events 2 months earlier at the Jamaica National Championships. Matthias Nunes scored in stoppage time as Manchester City took a big step toward Champions League qualification with a 2-1 win over Aston Villa in the English Premier League today at the Etihad. The late winner moved the 4-time defending champions up to 3rd in the standings, with the top 5 securing a place in Europe, the Champions League next season.
Marmouche, burst of pace, and Bernardo Silva, as a player on loan from City's great rivals, levels calmly for Aston Villa. Doku skipping clear of Disasi, cross the face, and it's Matheus Nunes who wins it at the death for Manchester City.
The Jamaican international Leon Bailey was not listed in Villa's matchday squad for a 3rd game running despite not being listed as injured. The Darren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia will host all 5 games in South Africa A's team tour of the West Indies starting in May. The tour will feature 3 50-over matches and 2 4-day first-class games. The tour bowls off on Wednesday, May 21, with the first 50-over game. The second will follow on May 24, with the third and final game Tuesday, May 27. The first 4-day first-class encounter begins on June 1, with the second starting June 8. The South Africans are due in the Caribbean on May 16. The wait is almost over for thousands of NFL hopefuls. After beginning to reshape their rosters during the free agency period, NFL teams will now select from the latest batch of players to emerge from the college game from April 24 to 26. They've been scouting the top prospects for months, with fans and media speculating over who will pick who. NFL analyst Jerome Jarrett says dreams will come true this weekend as 257 players hear their names being called out at this year's NFL draft.
The projected number 1 selection in the NFL draft will be Cam Ward, quarterback, and he's expected to be drafted by the Tennessee Titans, who earned the number 1 pick by having the worst record last season. There are 3 players that are at the top of everybody's board that they expect to go off the board really quick. A lot of persons expect the Browns to draft Travis Hunter, who is widely considered the most athletic player in the draft. He can play both corner and wide receiver, and he has stated openly that he intends to play both. He's expected to go second.
All 32 teams have 1 pick in each of the 7 rounds unless they have agreed trades, and they go in the reverse order of last season's standing. So the team with the worst record gets the first pick and the Super Bowl winners go last. Going into the final game of last season, the New England Patriots, who were set for the first pick of the 2025 draft, but victory over Wheaton Buffalo means they now have the 4th pick. That left 3 teams on 3 wins from the 2024 season, so the draft order was determined by the strength of their schedule, the record of their opponents. The Tennessee Titans were therefore given the first pick, while the Cleveland Browns will choose second, New York Giants third.
The most interesting pick is the New York Giants at 3rd. They can go a myriad of ways. There's a glaring need at quarterback, but they sort of addressed the quarterback position in the offseason by signing Russell Wilson and quarterback Jameis Winston. So it's unlikely that they will draft Shedeur Sanders at 3. But if you ask me, Shedeur Sanders is better than all 3. It could also go Abdul Carter, which is a generational type pass rusher.
NFL analyst Jerome Jarrett. That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:21.
Hop into action this Easter with a loan from Chris and Charles. Borrow $575,000 or more with payments starting at just $12,595. Whether you're renovating, consolidating debt, or investing in your future, we've got you covered with fast processing, unbeatable rates, and exceptional service. Better hurry. Just like Easter buns, this offer won't last. Call 876-926-0609 or visit chrisandcharles.com today. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
The benefits of the NWC debt amnesty will continue to flow for another 2 months. Oh yes, from now until May 31, you may qualify for debt write-offs. Also, if your residential account has been disconnected for 6 months or more, you may qualify. Pensioners, past beneficiaries, and those with commercial accounts may also qualify. So, what are you waiting for? Dial 888-225-5692 or visit a commercial office today to find out if you qualify. The NWC debt amnesty, a part of our bucket full of goodies.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC Saucy Wings with 2 new flavors. Saucy Wings. Mango habanero and buffalo. Hot, spicy. KFC we have Saucy Wings. Delicious, spicy, the best. So a new KFC Saucy Wings crush the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New Saucy Wings is for me.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC Saucy Wings. It's finger licking good.
A Campari Boulevard. Carnival Road, Mad Sunday. Time for left here, make sure no reach Campari Boulevard. No fly performance, stage crossing. Come out with your crew, Campari flossing.
Join us at Campari Boulevard as we take over Emmanuel Road on Trafalgar Road like never before on April 27th, Carnival Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enjoy Campari drink specials all day. Watch revelers cross our epic Campari stage with Exodus and Yardmass. Admission free, and make sure you wear red. It's Campari Red Passion Carnival. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years old. Let's drink responsibly.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Easter weekend done, people. It came, we saw it, and now it's behind us. Yeah? We're back fresh from the holiday, and we're ready for another Public Opinion. So this evening, let's get into it. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake, he is rejecting claims that the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF is lacking oversight and accountability. Now, Dr. Blake made the statement in the latest edition of the JCF's Commissioner's Corner, published on Friday. Several calls have been made by some advocacy groups for the JCF to be held more accountable for the significant increase in fatal police shootings that have occurred since the start of the year. According to the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, 96 people have been killed during alleged confrontations with the police up to April 16. Now, this represents a 160% increase when compared to the corresponding period last year. Yeah? But according to Dr. Blake, the autonomy given to members of the constabulary requires a very strong system of accountability to ensure members of the force behave responsibly with the power given to them. So, in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, do you agree that the JCF needs more oversight in light of an increase in police fatal shootings? I'll say that again. Do you agree that the JCF needs more oversight in light of an increase in police fatal shootings? Let's hear what you, the people, had to say about this one. Rose Clooney saying there are so many oversight bodies for the JCF. Who left to turn to? Oversight the duppies? Who have paid the ultimate sacrifice? I'm asking for a friend. One Empress is saying body cameras. Zoe School is saying definitely. Leisha Headley telling us that body cameras will clear up a lot of misconception the public has. Hey, it's ladies saying no. Let's see this one. Tom Pog is saying thank you, JCF. Chrissy Let Go. JCF have a lot of oversight bodies already. Jamaica needs a war against crime. Quaggy is questioning who will oversight the gunmen. Yeah? Let me see if I can get in a few more. Willie Ryan Wilson is saying, I agree, and the JCF needs to get body cams for every officer. It cannot be that we just work with what the officers tell us. All right, Stepper Driver says we want more oversight for these mentally disturbed kids, acting as though they're heartless. Wow. All right, HM Queen telling us that no, they don't need oversight. They need added support and more technology to capture criminals and continue to reduce the crime rate. Yeah? She goes on to ask, say the criminal them use drones. Wow. If the thief farmers hard earn crops and animals, then what next? Desreen saying, let criminals not rest. All right. Let me see if I can get in a few more on our Facebook platform where Boss Lady is saying the advocacy group need to let go of the police shirt. All right. George Elliott saying no, it's the criminals that need more oversight. And he's saying that the JFJ would be far more relevant if they would undertake that. Raymond Anderson is saying he agrees that the JCF needs more oversight. He's saying that they need also body camera to see they're doing their job, to see that they're doing their job professionally and within law. For Audley Phillip, he's saying to us, the criminal elements in Jamaica must be stopped. For far too long, they have run roughshod over the country with little or no resistance. And he's saying it's time that the tables be turned. All right, Bever Baker saying the JCF are there for one thing, and that is to nothing more. The JCF need to go. Okay, I don't think, maybe she misrepresented this. All right, Prince Wellington is saying very, very, very much so. I do agree that the JCF needs more oversight. And he's saying he personally can boldly say that lies are being told and there's a deliberate attempt to cover up stuff. He's saying the privileged access which was afforded to me by my source gave a direct insight into the details of how they shamelessly try to trick those that are not aware. And he's saying there's a deliberate attempt to silence JFJ because they're showing up the tricks. All right, Shins for Life Law saying, one, the police are killing the killers that are killing off innocent and unharmed citizens. No oversight needed for JCF. And he's saying that I think JFJ need a few oversight body for themselves. All right, Barry Blacks is saying all they need are body cameras to be worn. That hard in what he's asking, what hard in that for do? Body cameras. Philip Jackson saying to us, as long as it's people who think it's cool to challenge there's people who think it's cool to challenge the police, then that should be the result. Outside of that, then no question. Ask. It would be a breach indeed. Do you agree that the JCF needs more oversight in light of an increase in police fatal shootings? We're talking 96 people being killed during alleged confrontations up to April 16 this year. Let's see what our YouTubers have to say about this one. Tony is saying, I stand with the blue. And I must say that I've been seeing a flyer circulating. I'm not sure who generated it, who brought it about. But I'm seeing a flyer in response to a planned protest against police violence. The JFJ plans on having a protest next week. I'm seeing another flyer circulating that's saying, on that day, wear blue in support. And I'm seeing Tony here saying, I stand with blue. Start Girl is also saying, I stand with the JCF. Mick Hewley is saying, is it a real flyer? That I don't know. Like I'm saying, I don't know who generated. I am seeing I'm not seeing any form of link. The only link I see is the JCF their logo. Yeah. I'm not sure. The thinking person saying, I support the police. Yeah. Tyrell Thompson, we need oversight for the groups calling on the police for more oversight. Yeah. Man for JA is saying, I'm sure Minister and Commissioner have already addressed or spoken about cameras. Yeah. Let me see. Maxine Anderson is saying, when the gunmen killing, who was the oversight for them? Yeah, Pam Pam says, I'm going with JCF. Marcus the Best is telling us, trust the police. Yes. Yeah. Back your warriors. Tari is saying, back the blue. Charmaine Walker, there is an increase because they now know who the criminals are. Ella Rita is questioning who is the oversight? JFJ and the millions. Wow. Okay, who is the oversight? All right, let me see. Dean is saying blue all the way. JCF, JDF forever, coming from Everton Powell. I'm seeing a lot of blue emojis in the YouTube chat. Yeah, seeing a lot of blue emojis. Let me see if I can get in a few more on this question. Do you agree that the JCF needs more oversight in light of the killings, in light of the increase, rather, in police fatal shootings? Whodunit is questioning what police violence the police should take out a lawsuit. Wow. Yeah. Javon Ramden is saying, big up JCF all day, every day. Michael Wright is saying, for the government to give all of them camera, they got to be expensive. So private sector have to step in and buy some of these body cameras if they want to do it. Prudence is saying if anyone who choose to do wrong and are brave enough to confront the lawmen, no problem. Go ahead. It's your choice. I stand tall with the JCF all the way. You know what I don't, all right. Benny is saying the increase is as a result of the criminal elements being brazen enough to challenge the police. All right, a lot of people in the chat seemingly have similar sentiments. Yeah, going with the blue. Let me see. Dwayne Woody saying Babylon all the way. We all know what the term Babylon means. I stand with the blue. Stand in line with the blue. Wow. All right. The thing is, I don't like how this is becoming it has always been a us against us versus, criminal elements. Yeah. All right. I'm getting the wrap-up signal, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Roby Ann Williams. Let's get to it. The forecast for U.S. economic growth for this year has been given the biggest downgrade among advanced economies by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, due to uncertainty caused by trade tariffs. Now, growth is expected to be 1.8% this year, down from the IMF's estimate of 2.7% for the U.S. in January. The sharp increase in tariffs and uncertainty will lead to a significant slowdown in global growth, says the IMF. Now, the forecast for the UK has also been cut, with the economy now expected to grow by 1.1% this year. But the IMF has predicted UK economic growth will be stronger than Germany, France, and Italy. Inflation in the UK, however, will be the highest in the world's advanced economies at 3.1% this year, largely due to higher bills, including for energy and water. The U.S. Commerce Department has announced plans to impose tariffs of up to 3,521% on imports of solar panels from 4 Southeast Asian countries. It comes after an investigation that began a year ago when several major solar equipment producers asked the administration of then President Joe Biden to protect their U.S. operations. The proposed levies targeting companies in Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam are in response to allegations of subsidies from China and the dumping of unfairly cheap products in the U.S. market. And finally, in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 59 cents to buy $1 US, 210 Jamaican dollars and 37 cents to buy £1 British pound, and 115 Jamaican dollars and 26 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Roby Ann Williams. Good evening.
Experience the joy of buying a brand new Hyundai without breaking the bank. Yes, buying a brand new car should never leave you broke. From stylish designs and safety features to comfortable driving and reliability, Hyundai is the choice. Hyundai vehicles come standard with 2 years free service and 5 years warranty and roadside assistance for your peace of mind. Drive 2 years without service cost and 5 years without fear of being stranded. Hyundai. Conditions apply.
Maxfield Bakery, breads and buns and
Maxfield Bakery for breads and buns and bullets too. It's Maxfield Bakery for the best Easter bun, you know that's
Maxfield Easter Bun, the juicy fruity Easter bun. Order online and send abroad at maxfieldbakery.com or call Maxfield Bakery at 926-2160 or 929-3897 and get yours before they're done. Scatter says so.
A Campari Boulevard, Carnival Road, Mad Sunday. Time for left here, make sure no reach Campari Boulevard. No live performance, stage crossing. Come out with your crew, Campari flossing.
Join us at Campari Boulevard as we take over Emmanuel Road on Trafalgar Road like never before on April 27th, Carnival Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enjoy Campari drink specials all day. Watch revelers cross our epic Campari stage with Exodus and Yardmass. Admission free and make sure you wear red. It's Campari Red Passion Carnival. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years old to drink responsibly.
None of mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking them.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
This time signal is sponsored by Janet Global Accreditation, an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. The time is now
19 minutes to 7. Good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us at Nationwide at 90 FM, the program Nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Well, in our nation's business this evening, the Ministry of Health is recommending an increase in the retirement age to help reduce poverty among the elderly. This is one of several recommendations the Health Ministry is making to the Senate Committee on the Care of the Elderly.
The Health Ministry also says there's a need for urgent legislative attention to satisfy the needs of the Jamaica's aging population. Dana Davey tells us more.
Under the government's current legislative framework, the country's elderly protection mechanism comprises 3 separate acts: the Public Health Act, the Mental Health Act, and the Nursing Home Regulations Act. The Senate Committee is considering the creation of a unified Elderly Care and Protection Act. This would be similar in nature to the Child Care Protection Act, CCPA. According to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Errol Green, a key issue facing elderly Jamaicans is abandonment by relatives.
As to the numbers of social cases in hospital, I can't give you a figure on that today, but I know it is significant because it affects our ability to care for those persons who come to seek support at the hospital, treatment at the respective hospitals, and they can't find a bed. Some persons have to be sitting in chairs for days, weeks even, just in order to find a hospital bed for them to be cared for. So yes, it's a concern for us.
Mr. Green says many are left to languish in the public health system up to the point of death by their families.
There was a case of a gentleman who was hit down by a JUTC bus, and he has a son living in Kingston. The relatives in Clarendon used to come and look about him, and after a while, they just forgot about him. He ended up in the hospital a second time. He died. When contact was made with his son, he said, "I don't care what you want to do with him. Don't call me. Do not call me back." And when it was time for the insurance money to be paid out, then you had people coming to me, appealing to me to help them to get a copy or issue them a copy of the death certificate so they could go collect the insurance money from JUTC. And my staff said, no, we're not going to do it. But those are things that we see every day.
Mr. Green pointed out that under law, an order can be issued by the courts forcing relatives to take care of their elderly. However, both the Permanent Secretary and Senator Shireen Golding Campbell agreed that in practice this law has never been used.
I don't know that there was anybody who could cite a single instance where the municipal corporation had taken any action. Yes?
That's the exact point I'm making. I was a town clerk for many years, and I've always asked the inspector of poor for Kingston and St. Andrew, how many persons have you ever taken to court to maintain their parents?
But that for us, PS, is precisely what we're concerned about, because if you've had this law in place but it has never been used, it's a sign that it's not workable.
In order to relieve the burden faced by Jamaicans in their advanced years, the ministry is recommending that the statutory retirement age be increased. It's now 65. The Health Ministry says an increase would help reduce the risk of old age poverty, strengthen social protections, and allow old-aged persons to stay financially independent for longer. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Thank you so much, Dana. And what a troubling story. Yes? This is Nationwide at 5. We're inside the nation's business. And we're being joined now by the founder and executive chair of the Caribbean Community of Retired Persons, the CCRP, Jean Laurie Chin. Good evening.
Good evening, Cliff, and good evening, Siobhan.
When I saw the story this afternoon, it jolted me, I suppose because I am now getting there. Yes? So it hit close to home. Yes?
Heartless.
It is heartless, but how widespread a problem is the abandonment of our elderly?
Well, from what I'm hearing from Mr. Green, it is widespread, and it is actually endangering other persons who need hospital care because there are no beds for them.
Yes, they're being denied a bed because the hospital has to be taking care of those who have been abandoned.
Well, do you know that neglect, there are several areas of abuse of the elderly, and one of them is neglect. And of course, abandonment is neglect. And this is why, Senator Golding Campbell, she was saying, this has not been brought to the court. There's a Maintenance Act, and it really has not been brought to the court. And this is why we need this new comprehensive legislation to cover all of these areas of elderly abuse. This is something we have been advocating for from 2017. We have met with successive ministers. We have had correspondence, and thank goodness, kudos to Senator Shireen Golding Campbell and Senator Floyd Morris for taking this motion into the establishment of this select committee. And one of the things we asked for was a court for the elderly, or at least an area in the family court that deals with the elderly. Because, of course, our old people, they feel intimidated. They're very vulnerable. And also, under the Child Care and Protection Act, if you know of abuse of a child and you do not report it, you are liable. And I'm hoping that this will also obtain for the Elderly Care and Protection Act, because I'm sure there are neighbors and friends who know about these situations and are just not acting on them. And of course, the penalties. We need to really put some teeth into these laws so that people will pay dearly for elderly abuse.
Madam Laurie Chin, on the matter of the Maintenance Act, I really was stunned to hear from both the Senator and Mr. Green that this has never been utilized in the years that it has existed. Could you explain what exactly, in terms of the legal hurdles, has kept that legislation out of use?
I think it is just fear and inability, because I do know that there was a student case. Many years ago I heard about it at the Norman Manley Law School, a gentleman in Gordontown who was being abused, but I'm not sure what the outcome was. But that's the only one I heard about. And, you know, we at CCRP, we get so many reports of this. And, you know, I must say kudos to the National Council for Senior Citizens, because they have been very active in dealing with these situations too. But we need these laws to protect our elderly.
And in terms of an increase in the retirement age, it's now what, 65?
65, yes.
For both gender? Yeah?
I don't believe there's an adjustment between. I think, yes, it's 65 for both.
So
for both now.
Yeah. And where do you think it should be it should go, Jean? It should be extended to what
Well,
age?
you know, I really believe it is up to the employer and the individual, because there are some individuals, you know, who take early retirement,
Yes.
who prefer to retire early. And then I know of some companies who, once somebody reaches that retirement age and retires, they offer them a contract. I heard about one just a few months ago. They offer them a contract because, of course, this is an experienced person that has done so well and that has institutional history, and they are depending on the person. And now, for CCRP, we have been advertising jobs for companies, and the feedback we have got about the candidates who have submitted their resumes, they are impressed, you know. So I would prefer that this would be up to the individual. It would be up to the individual, because sometimes, you know, retirement opens other doors
Yes.
where people can earn more.
Yes.
So for making it compulsory, I'm not sure about that.
You think it should be optional, be up to the individual?
I really think it should be optional. I see where companies are giving contracts to retirees, and I tell you, we have very good people out there who now prefer to do maybe 20 hours a week.
Yes.
Retired professionals.
Yes.
Maybe 20 hours a week, so that they still have some
income,
you know, leisure time and income at the same time. Yes.
Yes. We're being joined by Senator Shireen Golding Campbell, Jean Laurie Chin. Senator Golding Campbell, thank you so much for joining us at this late notice. But we really want to say the newsroom, certainly sections of the newsroom, we were really hit when we got the story today. And I want to have you here because I want to know the thinking inside the parliamentary committee, where you're going in terms of an extension of the age of retirement. Are you going to be saying it go to X, compulsory, optional? What's the thinking?
Cliff, the truth is there's no thinking in terms of where we will end up right now. The committee is in the process of hearing submissions, and we have started off with sort of status submissions from the ministries, departments, and agencies, the entities that are involved in delivering services to the elderly population, and engaging with our senior citizens in various different avenues, whether it's financial, pensions, that kind of thing, or health-related matters or other services. The duty of the parliamentarian in this committee, and this is a Senate committee, so we're all senators in this committee, our duty is to listen, to take note, to interrogate what we're hearing, and then at the end of that, we will make determinations based on the data, the information, and what the policy imperatives are that we are hoping to recommend to the cabinet to put into law.
Mm-hmm.
That is really where we're at. We can't, at this point, it really would be inappropriate for us to form a view on what that age of retirement should be, because it has implications. It has financial implications for the country, for pension funds, for this kind of thing. So we're listening right now. If you've been following the meetings, the committee is pretty active in asking questions and interrogating the ministries and the agencies that come before it. After this phase, we will begin to hear submissions from the wider public, concerned citizens and concerned groups, and then we will have to hunker down and begin to sift through what we have heard and to begin to form a view with the guidance of our legal professionals, like the Legal Reform Department and the Parliamentary Council, in terms of the types of proposals we want to formulate. Just to be clear, though, we are not writing a law in the Senate committee. We are crafting proposals that will inform the drafting of a law, proposals that we hope to submit to the cabinet to ask them to come up with drafting instructions, fine-tune the policy proposals that we have suggested to them, and come up with drafting instructions to create the law. So there'll be another round of a law in Parliament that the parliamentarians will have the opportunity to interrogate and to rethink and to offer their views as to how they think these legal provisions will further more positive care and protection for our elderly population.
Senator Golding Campbell, based on the submissions, I know you received one from the local government ministry as well as from the Ministry of Health regarding the status of the nation's legal support for the elderly. Based on what you've received from those two groups alone, do you find that there is an absolute need for reform in this agenda?
You see, when you're talking in absolute like that, I always get scared with these kinds of descriptors. But the truth is, I think anybody who's been listening to the deliberations, the submissions rather, that have come before us, would tend in that direction. The Poor Relief Act, is it the Poor Relief Act or the Maintenance Act? I'm not remembering which one. But there's one of the acts that we were looking at. Forgive me because you caught me off guard tonight, so I don't have my papers in front of me, as you know I usually like to.
Yes.
The one of the acts we were looking at was a 1934 act. A 1934 act that had no amendment or very minimal amendment. I think that was the one that had the provision for the municipal corporation to make an application on behalf of a vulnerable elder. And
that's the one that has never been used.
It hasn't been used, but I don't
tested.
have the history as to what would have informed that provision at the time. Bear in mind, this is 1934, colonial Jamaica.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, it hasn't been used, and you can imagine now in the context of what municipal corporations do today, how impractical and unwieldy that is. I mean, even though there are services that they may deliver to our elderly population, there's not that sort of one-on-one connection between the municipal corporation and a vulnerable older person. So it seems wholly impractical to me now, but something must have informed us at the time, however the society was constructed and how we organized services at the time. Something had then informed it, but the truth is it hasn't been used, and so there is no proper process that allows us to approach the court on behalf of an elderly person who has no other options. And in fact, Cliff, the Guardianship Act, which does make provision for an elderly person to be maintained. Sorry, not the Guardianship Act, the Maintenance Act allows an elderly person to be maintained, to get an order from the court. Even that, we don't have any information from the Ministry of Justice that is really being used. There's another one, in terms of getting guardianship orders. A person who has an elderly relative who they want to sort of take control of and to manage their affairs. That process is not a quick process. And I have had a number of anecdotal situations where persons have told me that, they had this application in train and their relative died before they got a court date. So there needs to be serious reform, and the committee is looking at what is the scope, what is the magnitude of the proposals that we're going to make, because what we want is for it to be comprehensive, to ensure that we're looking at all the areas that impact our elderly population. Because face it, we have an increasing elderly population, and all of us are going to get old some point.
Absolutely. Which is where I want to bring back Jean Laurie Chin. And at the CCRP, Jean, what is the profile of your membership that you are seeing?
Well, we have a wide variety. We have from household workers to retired professionals and to working professionals. In all sorts of professional fields. So, and they are, we sent them a summary of the submission we had made to the Senators Select Committee, and they were so grateful. And they said, this is not just for us, but this is for generations to come, because they are worried, what will happen to their younger relatives when the time comes. So they are a concerned group. They are a group that they are getting a lot of benefits, because I mentioned employment, but there are also a lot of good discount partners, health plans. Do you know when you are 60, the health insurance companies really don't want to take you on. But happily, we were able to get some health plans where you can apply up to the age of 80, thanks to Sagicor. So we do have those benefits for them. But they are very anxious about what is going to happen to them as they age. And look at the problem with the care homes. Only 10% of them have been registered. And I've heard from the NCSC that they would like to be able to help to monitor, but they have no authority. So that is another matter that I would like to be taken up. Since they don't have enough inspectors, could they at least empower the National Council, who have offices in every parish, to be able to do some level of monitoring?
Yes. And who is an elderly person?
Well, it all depends. But I think an elderly person is usually somebody who is over 75. But now people over 75 are telling me, no, I'm not elderly. So I think that has now for CCRP, when you get to 85, you automatically become a lifetime member. So at CCRP, we say over 85. But generally speaking, we have heard the term elderly being applied to over 75, and then Professor Denise Eldemar Shearer, she calls the old, the ones over 80.
Senator Golding, is there a legal definition?
Well, we don't have a legal definition as far as I am aware in Jamaica. We have a definition that we apply in relation to pensions, retirement age, etc. There is a definition that the United Nations applies and the World Health Organization applies. One is 60, one is 65. I'm not remembering now which one is which. But one of the things that the committee is going to have to grapple with in our clip is the fact that when you talk about the elderly population, or if you want to call them the senior citizens, and somebody has taken me to task on Twitter for my nomenclature, I'm really not quite sure what to call them. I just know that everybody older than me is my elder. But one of the things that we have to grapple with as a committee is the fact that there is great diversity in that group. So I have a group of nonagenarians and octogenarians, and you would know Mrs. Carnegie,
Oh, yes.
who is in her 90s.
Who calls me very frequently and is...
Yes, I'm aware that she calls it frequently. I hear her sometimes.
Yes.
And she is quite sharp and
Yes.
quite cognizant of the issues that she once dealt with.
Uh-huh.
And she has a group of friends, her age group, and a little younger in their 80s, who actively discuss these issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you have those who are younger, but are in more vulnerable states of health.
Mm-hmm.
So the needs of the community are diverse.
Yes.
And so in crafting proposals for a law, proposals that we want the cabinet to consider, we have to take account of very diverse views and circumstances, so that even the CCRP, which is doing amazing work, and thanks to Jean and her team, doesn't necessarily represent all the iterations of the experience of being an elder.
Yes.
So the committee has to be cognizant of that, and I hope that we will get wide participation. We're certainly trying to drum up public attention and public interest, so that we can have persons coming to us and telling us their story, telling us their experiences, so that can really inform how we craft these proposals.
For example, Jean, what is the incidence of what I call elder abuse? Yes, where the elderly are abused, sometimes not only physically, but financially, emotionally, and otherwise.
Well, we did a survey among our members, and I think, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it was about 40% of them who said they either had experienced it or knew of it, right? And our membership now is 12,000, and we have about 8,000 on our email group. So it's quite a large group. And 40%, therefore, is quite significant to either have experienced it or know about it. But because there is so much hush-hush around it,
Yes.
because people are afraid of reprisal.
Mm-hmm.
They feel very vulnerable, they're afraid of reprisal. I should mention, though, that there is another set of elderly that we deal with in our outreach who, needy seniors, needy elderly. And Cliff, they are the ones that worry us most. Because when we go to visit them and we see the condition in which they live, the areas, sometimes we have to ask the police to help us to deliver packages to these people because they're in such troubled areas. So, yes, that's a big challenge to look after those very, very needy elderly.
Boy.
But Cliff, can I just say something? Because,
Yes, Senator.
Parliament can always pass a law. And yes, there are laws that inspire and force cultural change. But we really, as a society, have to get back to, and maybe I should say, we need to get to a place where we respect and understand the value that our elders have provided to the country, to the community, to the society.
Yes.
Where we recognize them and honor them for that, and where we offer them protection and safety and conditions that allow them to live out the rest of their lives in dignity.
Yep. Yeah.
Sometimes when I hear how we talk about the elderly and I see how persons relate to the elderly, it's a little dismissive, disrespectful.
It's not a little, Senator. It is just dismissive.
Yeah. Yeah. and
it happens in the workplace. Yes.
We have to have a reckoning about that. We really have to have a reckoning about that, because at the end of the day, how we treat the most vulnerable in our society tells you who we are. And we have to decide who we want to be as a nation. That's part of the change that we have to embark on. So while the Prime Minister is talking about productivity, and that's very important, that's a mindset change. All these things are mindset changes. And it's a mammoth task to move a country into that kind of change journey. But we are embarked on it, and I believe we can accomplish it as a nation.
But Senator, when did that mindset shift in the first place? Because even me growing up, the mantra of taking care of your elders, respect for the elderly, was an ongoing, being drilled into your head from the primary to the secondary to the tertiary level. When did that shift take place to the point where we have to relearn those principles?
Siobhan, I'm not a sociologist by any stretch of the imagination, but there are things that I observe that I believe are cumulative in nature in terms of their impact. So when you see things like parents going to a school and cussing off teachers, and in a disciplinary situation, when you see these kinds of things on TV, which I see all the time, you say to yourself, well, where are our boundaries? Where do we land in terms of what is right, what is appropriate? We seem to be a little all over the place with that now, and I don't think that there's any minimal impact that the information age has had on that. And I'm not cussing technology and technological advancement, because we're better because of it. But there are some negatives that we have to mitigate against, and we have to do that in a very conscious way. So we have to decide as a society, who are we? What do we want to be? Just in the last week or so in my neighborhood group, I saw messages about persons burning garbage in the neighborhood. Why do we do that? It's not the right thing to do. It impacts others. We have to be conscious about that. And if that is what it does, if our actions negatively impact others, then we have to make a decision that those are not actions we're going to engage. But that's a societal discussion. It has to happen at every level, at the church level, community level, in the politics, all over.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Senator Shireen Golding Campbell. Jean Laurie Chin, Executive Chair of CCRP. Thank you very much, ladies. And this is something we have to continue the discussion and the awareness about.
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
Thank you for having us.
You're
and
welcome.
please, Cliff, I ask you all to just, keep abreast. Our committee meetings are on YouTube through PBCJ. I really would like for the society to pay attention and to lend their voices to the deliberation.
Okay,
Yes,
will
please.
do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. This is Nationwide at 5.
Get the inside scoop. Tune in to Budget Bites, a brief breakdown of the 2025 budget presentation by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. It's an informative snapshot of the budget and what it means for you. Don't miss Budget Bites, bite-sized insights into the Prime Minister's vision for Jamaica. Budget Bites, unpacking the budget for you.
We do not only announce, we deliver, and we are breaking ground and commissioning water supply systems almost weekly. A proper account of the extensive work undertaken in every constituency would require us to be here all night. Very important one, the Western Parishes water supply. The severe drought which affected Western Jamaica disproportionately prompted the acceleration of major capital works to replace transmission main to Trelawney, St. James, Hanover and Westmoreland. This is a $28 billion 3-year project which will commence in May 2025 and reduce water insecurity and non-revenue water, and involves upgrading 28 kilometers of main transmission lines from St. James to Trelawney and 37.5 kilometers from Lucy to Negril. On completion, it will benefit over 250,000 residents and business customers and catalyze development in the key tourism sector. This is a game changer for water in the northwestern parishes. 6 major projects funded by the Caribbean Development Bank are being undertaken by the Rural Water Supply Limited, which will significantly improve access and transform the lives of more than 38,000 Jamaicans in rural areas of Southeast, Western St. Mary's, Southern Trelawney, Northeast St. Elizabeth, Eastern St. Thomas and Northwest St. Anne. Currently, the Rural Water Supply Limited and the CDB are finalizing the necessary documentation for procuring design services, with the advertisement expected to be published in March 2025. We've spoken extensively about the Greater Mandeville Water Supply Project, a $2.7 billion project which is spread over 5 years. We are midway the 5 years, and this project will reduce non-revenue water to below 50%, increase service reliability and quality, given that we are now building out new housing schemes in Mandeville and other areas. The Ray Corbry Water Plant Project, something that we have been talking about from 2009. I'm pleased to report that it is now finally in the construction phase, and we are targeting completion by the end of 2026. Others talk about it, we deliver it. Expansion of the sewer network in Kingston and St. Andrew is critical to the future development within the parish, both to facilitate greater densities and safeguard groundwater. This year, the NWC will be investing $1.4 billion into the laying of sewer lines along Monroe Road, Retreat Avenue, Seymour Avenue, and Old Hope Road. Additionally, there are 2 areas of deep concern which must be addressed forthwith. The first is the situation in downtown Kingston with collapsing sewer mains. An overhaul of the entire potable water, sewage, and drainage network is required for most of Central and West Kingston. I have directed Minister Samuda to ensure that the project design for this massive infrastructure is done this year. I have further directed that $450 million be immediately deployed to the worst affected areas within the Market District to provide immediate relief. The NWC has also commenced procurement of an additional HVAC truck to be stationed downtown to ensure that any blockages that emerge are immediately dealt with. The infrastructure is old. It is aging and collapsing. Decades of no investment. It is now showing. And it is this administration that is finding the economic wherewithal to deal with the maintenance of these critical infrastructure. We have now started the distribution of the Black Tank program. MPs are now collecting and distributing tanks in their constituencies. We hope that that can move very quickly to mitigate any impact of drought. In November 2024, I announced that the NWC would provide an amnesty to customers cut off from the utility for more than 6 months. The amnesty has benefited pensioners, PATH recipients, and members of the disabled community with up to 100% reprieve and up to 50% for other categories of customers. As at March 14, 2025, over 21,000 customers had engaged in the process. Total reconnections so far are 3,271, with a further 5,135 awaiting reconnection. This has yielded over $207 million in revenues collected for the NWC, and that would have been uncollectible otherwise. We have also written off over $600 million of debt from those who most need it, restoring the supply of water and returning dignity to those households. This government is helping our most vulnerable. As such, I have instructed the National Water Commission to extend the program for a further 2 months. We do this because we care about the people.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
How are this
For
up on
more
my TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently. But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes, Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor to go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake.
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait, I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
You ever get bun yet? The bun was sweet you so much you can't resist. Me not talk about heartbreak. Me not talk about the bun with full of spice, raisin, and the perfect glaze. Mother's Bakery Easter bun. This is the bun where everybody need this Easter. If you don't get bun, you not live life right. Mother's Bakery Easter bun. Get the best type of bun from the right people. Mother's Bakery Easter bun. The bun you have to get with love in every bite. Available in select supermarkets.
It's 19 minutes after 7 o'clock. You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. We are Nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good evening once again, Siobhan. Good evening once again, listeners. And we're going to turn now to Rome, where the passing of the Bishop of Rome, the Pope, the death of Pope Francis on Monday, has set in motion a process steeped in tradition and rituals as the Roman Catholic Church moves from one papacy to the next. When a leader of the Catholic Church dies, an elaborate process follows.
That process began at 7:30 a.m. Rome time on Monday, when it was confirmed that Pope Francis, the first Latin American leader of the Church of 1.4 billion members, was dead. Francis-born Jorge Maria Bergoglio was 88.
He died of a stroke and heart failure at the Casa Santa Marta, his residence in the Vatican. Mahiri Stewart reflects on the ancient process that now kicks in.
The death of a pope begins a period in the Vatican known as the interregnum. This describes the time between the pontiff's passing and the election of his successor. The responsibility of confirming the pope's death rests with the person who holds the position of the Camerlengo. The current Camerlengo of the Roman Catholic Church is Irish-American Cardinal Kevin Joseph Farrell. It's a position he's held since 2019. In confirming the Pope's death, the Camerlengo performs a ritual in which he taps the Pope's head with a silver hammer and calls out his baptismal name 3 times. On receiving no response, he verifies the death in concert with a doctor's report and a death certificate. Following the verification, the Camerlengo destroys the papal ring and seal by crushing them with a hammer. This symbolizes the end of the Pope's reign. The ceremony takes place in the Pope's private chapel. The Camerlengo then locks the papal apartment and offices. The practice was historically done to prevent the looting of the Pope's belongings, but is now a symbolic gesture. Afterwards, the senior officials of the Church and the public are informed of the pontiff's passing. This triggers a 9-day period of mourning known as the Novendiales. After the Camerlengo's certification, the Pope's body is placed in an open coffin. Pope Francis made amendments to the ritual, requesting that his body be placed in a wooden coffin lined with zinc. This breaks the tradition of the use of 3 coffins made of cypress, lead, and oak. The Pope's funeral must take place between 4 and 6 days after his passing. Following the funeral, the coffin bearing Pope Francis's body will be carried to the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore in Rome, Italy, a burial place he chose specifically. This is another break with tradition, as popes are normally buried in the grottos of St. Peter's Basilica. 15 to 20 days after the pontiff's death, a papal conclave takes place to elect the next leader of the Roman Catholic Church. The decision is made by the 135 cardinals under 80 years old who gather at the Vatican for the process. After locking themselves in the Sistine Chapel with no connection to the outside world in the form of media or technology, they vote multiple rounds until a candidate gets a 2/3 majority. After each vote, the ballots are burned and smoke signals are released to the outside world. Black smoke signifies that no decision has been made, while white smoke signifies the election of a new pope. The Dean of the College of Cardinals will then ask the elected candidate if he accepts the position. Once accepted, the candidate chooses a papal name. The Pope is then introduced from the balcony overlooking St. Peter's Square, where the words Habemus Papam are proclaimed, meaning, we have a new Pope. The new Pope then gives his first blessing to the crowd. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Mahiri. And who are the contenders to replace Pope Francis? Among the list of cardinals seen as contenders are Cardinal Luis Tagle from the Philippines, who is a frontrunner to be the first Asian pope, and Cardinal Peter Erdo, a leading conservative from Hungary. ABC News Australia has more in this
Just
report.
before we go, Cardinal Tagle, one of the younger ones, he's just about 67?
Yes.
Yeah? And he was also in the running in 2013 when Francis was elected. And they called him the Asian Francis.
He's among those. I don't want to use the word radical. He's among the more progressive-minded, moderate progressive-minded popes, compared to the Mr. Erdo, who is very much the hardline conservative.
Well, ABC News Australia has more in this report.
This morning, cardinals are descending on Vatican City from across the globe, pushing past the world's media, who have also descended to their first meeting. Of the 135 cardinals under the age of 80 eligible to vote in the conclave, the vast majority, 108, were appointed by Francis, including more than 20 from places that had never had a cardinal before.
This is going to be a very open process, it seems to me, in which two things are most important. One, does this man communicate a vibrant, energizing faith? And secondly, can he govern?
As the Catholic Church grows in Asia, Cardinal Luis Tagle from the Philippines is a frontrunner to be the first Asian pope. Referred to as the Pope Francis of Asia, with a heavy focus on social justice and caring for the poor. But at 67 years old, he's on the young side. Or will the Church stage an Italian comeback of sorts after 3 successive outsiders in recent decades? Italian Cardinal Pietro Parolin is 70. He's an experienced Vatican official with serious name recognition. He served as Francis's Secretary of State, but he lacks pastoral experience. Another Italian, Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa, is also on the shortlist. At 60, he's lived for the last 3 decades in the Middle East, currently serving as the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem.
An Italian comeback?
I think right now, Molly, nationality means nothing in this. It would be very foolish to think of them as a united bloc.
Or will the cardinals determine the Church requires a conservative voice rolling back Francis's progressive agenda? Cardinal Peter Erdo, at 72, is a leading conservative from Hungary, supported among the European cardinals, and is close to Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. But it will all come down to the voting. The conclave gets underway 15 to 20 days after Francis's death. The cardinals sealed off inside the Sistine Chapel until a new pope is chosen.
Now, another interesting thing about the cardinal electors this year, it's an incredibly diverse bunch. They don't all know each other. So a lot of the next 2 weeks will be about getting to know each other and then figuring out who is best to lead. Guys?
Molly, thank you so much. Let's bring in NBC News analyst Christopher White, the Vatican correspondent for the National Catholic Reporter. Christopher, good morning to you. Thanks for coming back. I read yesterday that you said that this Pope was a shock to the system, and I know we're going to dig into some of the specific frontrunners in just a moment. But just on a macro level, Christopher, do we think that the Church will move in the direction of a reformer like Pope Francis, or do we think that they might go with someone who's more conservative?
I think it's fair to say the church is at a crossroads right now. Do they want to continue on the path of reform that Francis initiated, of opening the Catholic Church up to the modern world, or do they want a course correction? That's the big question that the cardinals will face when they have these backdoor meetings in the coming weeks. But I think, Pope Francis named 80% of the men that are going to be electing his successor, and because of that, I think it's fair to say they mostly share his same priorities.
You've got, we're kind of putting these cardinal contenders in categories. It's weird to be talking about something that's spiritual, but it's also quite practical. So there's the Italian strand of potential cardinals. Tell us about them.
Well, for a long time there's been an appetite to resist giving the papacy back to the Italians. We had a Polish pope, a German pope, and then Argentinian pope. Is this the moment for the Italians? If there is going to be an Italian pope, I think Cardinal Pietro Parolin, who is Pope Francis's Secretary of State, his top diplomat, he's a real contender. He has name recognition, and so he has to be taken seriously just on that alone. But the problem is he doesn't have pastoral experience, and for Pope Francis, he often said that he wants leaders in the church to have the smell of the sheep, to be with the people. And so it's hard to square that vision of the church with Parolin's resume. Also, Cardinal Pizzaballa, who Molly mentioned, is someone who's very well aware of the geopolitical circumstances of the moment, and that's why his name has also surfaced.
Christopher, I will take your potential Italian successors and raise you one former Archbishop of Manila. What can you tell us about the Cardinal Tagle, who was mentioned there? Is a 3-1 favorite from Newsweek, a progressive agenda like Francis. What do you think?
Cardinal Tagle was a front runner in 2013. He's in recent years been referred to as an Asian Pope Francis because of his concern for the poor, his own sort of emphasis on humility. He's got the charisma, the wow factor that some people are really looking for in the next Pope. There are questions about how good is he at management, and I think that's something that cardinals will be scrutinizing in the coming days.
Christopher, really quickly, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about the American Cardinal and the Canadian Cardinal.
Yeah, Cardinal Robert Prevost, who's the head of the Vatican's the Vatican's office for looking for bishops around the world. He's Chicago-born, but he spent most of his life outside of the United States. I think that makes him someone who knows how the Vatican works from the inside, but he's not really viewed as an American, which makes him an intriguing possibility. And then there's Cardinal Lacroix of Quebec City. He's seen as a real manager who sort of shares the Pope's vision and pastoral priorities, but more emphasis on government.
All right. Christopher White, we're going to have to keep you close here over the next few weeks. Christopher, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Raise your hand if you watched Conclave yesterday. I knew it. You watched it again, too?
Well, I watched the start of it.
Okay.
I watched the whole thing.
Carson and I were going back and forth.
I know. All right. Al, you told us that Conclave was a great movie
I did,
months and months ago.
I loved it. And the other thing, today's Earth Day, and Pope Francis was very into the climate.
That's, of course, NBC News. Have you seen The Conclave?
I saw it a long time ago. I've not rewatched it since.
I watched it 3 weeks ago, and was falling asleep. I have to go watch it again.
I read up on the process after Pope Francis's passing. It's quite an interesting process. How the cardinals are selected. All the cardinals have to be under the age of 80 to take part in the process. I believe there are 135 of them this round. And he has, the Pope who just passed, he elected 80% of them. Yeah. Which means it's almost clear which direction he would like to take the church.
Right. But my money is on Tagle, the Filipino.
And it's almost just because there's an obvious shift away from the Western European image of the Catholic Church to the populace, more to the Asian, and you have the South American as well. That is where the demographic church of the Catholic Church is actually growing and not declining.
That's where it's growing fastest, in Asia and Africa and South America. Certainly not Europe. Yeah. So, but they say you go in as a pope into the Sistine Chapel and you come out a cardinal. Favorites don't win.
Because he was the front runner to win
in
when
2013.
Pope Francis was chosen.
Yeah. Well, he was too young then. He would have been only, 54?
Yes.
Yeah, they don't like them too young. Yeah.
It's interesting we had that discussion earlier about age.
Exactly.
And we're talking
not when you're competing for the papacy. Let's go to the break. After the break, your calls.
Stop buying expensive toner cartridges. Global Ink is now selling new factory direct generic toners. Remove factory seals, install and print. Engineered to work first time, every time. Certified for use in HP and Brother printers. Worry-free, affordable printing for your peace of mind. Money saved is money earned. We deliver island-wide. 754-7444 or 1-888-NEED-INK. Never run out of toner again. Global Ink.
New KFC saucy wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC saucy wings with 2 new flavors. Saucy wings. Mango habanero and buffalo. Hot, spicy. KFC we have saucy wings. Delicious, spicy the best. So a new KFC saucy wings crunch the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New saucy wings is for me.
New KFC saucy wings. Delicious, hot and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC saucy wings. It's finger licking good.
A Campari Boulevard, Carnival Road, Mad Sunday. Time for left here, make sure no reach Campari Boulevard. No live performance, stage crossing. Come out with your crew, Campari flossing.
Join us at Campari Boulevard as we take over Emmanuel Road on Trafalgar Road like never before on April 27th, Carnival Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enjoy Campari drink specials all day. Watch revelers cross our epic Campari stage with Exodus and Yardmass. Admission free and make sure you wear red. It's Campari Red Passion Carnival. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years old. Let's drink responsibly.
The numbers to call us 876-630-9371-4 or 618-8255. We're going to take your calls now on the issues of concern to you. Yes, I'm Cliff and he is Siobhan.
I'm Siobhan, yes.
Bobby, good evening.
Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir.
How do you spend your vacation, sir?
It wasn't a vacation.
Boy, trust me, I am wondering if Nationwide give you one whole tree.
One whole tree?
No. Yes, it's not only leaf them give you, no, it's one whole tree.
No.
Yes, I just want to express my condolences to Ricardo Brooks and the rest of the Roman Catholic community.
Yes.
Although I myself is an Catholic, also I'm an Anglo-Catholic, so I just want to express my condolences to them and the passing of their leaders and so on.
Yes.
You know, I just pray and hope that the peace of God will let he rest in peace. Another thing that I would like to say to you now, Cliff, some JUTC buses now start to run in both Old Harbour, Maypen, and those places, and trust me, it really help out the school children and the commuters down in that era. I remember one day I had to park my vehicle and just take the bus, and may I tell you, Cliff, it inside those bus feel like Knutsford Express, AC and everything. It is so comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, man, so comfortable, and you know, I just want it.
Very nice to travel in them.
Yeah, man. Yes. I just want.
Siobhan, who don't know? Siobhan don't take the bus.
I just want all of those buses to spread right across the island in the rural area, you know, to really help out commuters.
Yes, sir.
So okay then. And
all right, Bobby.
Okay then, and God bless you.
Take care. Good.
Have a good evening, Bobby.
Francis. Yep. I've been around a little longer than you, right? But
a little.
Yes. A little. Just a little. But I liked Francis because he came across as someone who could be your next door neighbor. Yeah? Previous popes felt distant, remote, isolated. Francis was a cool man. Yeah, he could be a next door neighbor down the road.
And I believe that was the intent. In terms of his reforms for the office, I believe that was his intent, to bring the papacy closer to the
people.
individual.
Yeah. And that's why I think I like him, you know.
But don't you believe that certain offices, such as that, need a certain aloofness, a certain standoffishness to it, to maintain the dignity of the office itself?
Yes and no. In today's world, where the world is so much smaller, yeah, so much more intimate, yeah, almost touchy-feely, personal, I don't think that is so anymore. Yeah, it's the same thing they say about the the so-called British royal family. They needed to be distant. Yeah, no, not in today's world, when everything is at your fingertips.
I suppose it also assists in terms of maintaining the legitimacy and the relatability of religious institutions such as the Catholic Church and the papacy. Mm-hmm. That it does need to be brought down to the level of the person and how it impacts their lives.
Absolutely.
Because as people in the YouTube ask, because what does the Catholic Church have to do with Jamaica? It becomes a relevant question.
It becomes a relevant question because, one, at a time when we are seeing a fall in the membership of church, yeah, not only the Catholic Church, all churches in Jamaica, yeah, except a very small subset,
and a combined moral degradation as well.
Precisely, where our value system is in doubt, yeah, what's right from what's wrong, yeah, and where the Catholic Church is concerned, don't forget, it is possibly the most influential church in Jamaica when it comes to education.
Yes.
Yeah? The Catholic Church, the best schools in Jamaica are Catholic-run schools. Yeah? And that alone gives it an outsized influence over the numbers of members it has in its pews. Yeah? And a Catholic education is a damn good education.
Yes, I mean, people forget the level of interest that Catholics place on not just the understanding of the Bible, but the academic and scholastic nature of the Bible itself.
Yeah. Alric, good evening.
Good evening, Cliff. Good evening, Siobhan. Welcome back, Mr. Hughes.
Thank you, sir. Good.
Yeah. Siobhan, I think this is right. This brought a level of closeness to the ordinary man who walks the street. And his actions were such, he told you outright he loved football. He used to play football in the street with the balls that they made, and he loved the certain players, and he got so close to the people that although he was the Pope, he was so respected and became, as Mr. Hughes said, your next door neighbor.
Did you know he was a bouncer at a nightclub?
No, I didn't go that far, Cliff, but that's why we listen to Nationwide.
Yes, he was a bouncer in his younger days.
From being a bouncer to the Pope.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I know he loved football. I know he loved football, and he was asked a question one time that made the news. Mm-hmm. Between Maradona and Messi was better, and he sidestepped, gave a beautiful answer.
Smart.
That Maradona let down the side in the later stages, but Messi was a gentleman. And I smiled and I read the article because I remember Maradona got caught up in the cocaine thing and so on, the hand of God thing. He mounted Maradona about the hand of God stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so, I'd like the Pope, and so you guys about, I think what he brought was the acceptance worldwide of the alleged misconduct in his church, mainly with boys, and he didn't sweep it under the carpet.
Yes.
I think he tried to.
He tried to deal with it right up front.
And tried to give a good answer to most of the questions that were asked about the period when that was happening.
Yes. Yes.
You know.
Certainly. Did you hear?
Yeah,
did you
I
hear?
like him. Have a good evening, guys.
Did
Good
you
to
hear?
you again, Cliff.
Good. Did you hear the obituary that we did on Francis?
Yeah, I heard it yesterday, man. I just went to YouTube and I saw you on record, and I said, yes.
Yes.
Pull Cliff out of semi-retirement and pull record off his leave, man. It was very good.
Oh,
very
good.
And I was wondering, oh, you guys did it so quickly when he died in the morning, but you know, you're nationwide.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Have a good evening.
All right. Good. Mr. Portmore. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening to your co-host as well.
Good evening, sir.
And I want to welcome you back. I must say that you sound refreshed, Mr. Hughes.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. I was a Catholic. I went to a Catholic school, Holy Trinity.
You were a Catholic?
Yeah, I was.
I noticed the past tense were.
Yes, I know. Because my mother was a Zion member, Zion Church member.
Okay.
And somehow they tried to convince me that the Zion Church is better than the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still love to say condolences to the Pope.
Yes.
You know, and I wish all of him and his friends, the best.
Mm-hmm.
And that they will move on and bring a better vision where the Catholic Church is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I want to ask Mr. Vaz a question. When the new buses come in, right, I noticed that at certain stops, where you have inspectors and people who direct the buses, I noticed that the new buses are being used. Shouldn't these buses be on the road making money, and they get, some of the old buses who is up to standard to park in these locations and to ensure that the work is continued?
I'm not following what you're saying. Repeat that for me.
Okay. Like, for instance, you have certain locations where the inspectors are people who send out the buses from that location onto the routes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And
the dispatchers.
The
dispatchers.
Right. But I noticed that every time the new buses come, then they have these buses at these locations. The engines are run for the whole day and the air condition is on. And I'm saying to myself, I'm wondering, why are not these buses on the road making money? And they use the old-time buses that is equipped with air condition in these locations.
So you're saying the dispatchers stay in these buses? They use them for offices? I'm trying to follow what you're saying.
Yes, it is like an office then. Like, for instance, in Portmore, right at the not the mall, right at the plaza, there's always a bus there, right? And you have other locations island-wide where they have these buses, and the dispatchers, they sit in them, and when the buses come, then they will tell them what route to go and all of that. But I'm saying that they use the new buses for this occasion. And I'm saying, isn't it a waste of money to have the new buses parked there? I'm just asking.
Well, I don't know enough about what you're saying, sir. I really don't know. I didn't even know that they use buses for the dispatchers to...
This is news to me as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, even downtown, they are there.
Oh?
Yes.
I didn't know that, sir.
Well, you can ask Mr. Fix-It, and he will get you up to date on it.
Okay,
right?
sir. Okay.
I don't know if I have time to say something else.
One more, quickly.
Okay. I'm a bit concerned of how Jamaicans think these days, And I know that we are intelligent people. And I know that we most times look into things before we make decisions. You understand? I'm concerned. You know why? I know it's politics I'm talking about, and you might not like this still, but I know that this leader Dr. Andrew Holness is doing a lot of good. And people are still convinced that he's not doing anything. Yet there are some, I can tell you, when I look into certain schools and I see where the car parks are filled, and if you as a stranger going into these schools, you have to park outside. There isn't any room for cars to park inside. Even at the Greater Portmore Health Center, they have to clear a section and to ensure that cars that for workers can park in the location. And yet people are saying that nothing not going on. I don't understand. I spoke to a woman the other day, and she said to me she have to get rid of Andrew. And I said, okay, fine. Who you going to replace him with? As long as I get rid of him. And I'm saying, how can we...
But did you ask her why? Why she wanted to get rid of him?
She don't. All she's saying, she don't like him. And she don't see nothing. So she wants him to move.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, okay, you don't like the gentleman, fine. Who are you going to replace him with?
Mm-hmm.
And, and most people who you talk to in this area and you ask them why they want to get rid of Andrew, they can't give you a reason. The other day, a discussion came in the car, and somebody said to our lady, she said, let me tell you something, Mark Golding, really and truly, I'm not hearing anything much from Mark Golding in terms of what he's doing, But yet we know and we see what Andrew is doing. So I would rather vote for Andrew than for Mark Golding. And the lady shut up, because she couldn't say anything. Because what the lady was saying is true.
Yes, sir.
And I said it already. We need to be educated politically. We need to know, because even this GDP that your year is talking about, a lot of people don't know what it is for.
Yes.
A lot of figures that has been made public and made known to us. Some of us don't know what it is like.
Yes.
And another thing I'm going to tell
No more. No more. We have a lot of people holding, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the call. 10 minutes going up to 8 o'clock. Who's next? Carl?
Evening, Mr. Hughes.
Good evening, Carl.
You come back, man, looking after a young baby, man. You're a good grandfather, man.
Yes.
You're a good grandfather.
Yes, Carl.
I heard from last week, or the last 2 weeks, that one of the human rights, them are planning to have demonstration come next week sometimes. One day next week, is it 28 or so?
I believe it's the 29th.
Or 29th. Well, Mr. Hughes, you know Canaanite?
Canaanites.
In Clarendon here.
Yes.
Well, you know what used to happen at Canaanites?
No.
The killing and the type of things that we used to go on there.
Mm.
Well, I was there Friday night.
It was of Canaan Heights is, I'm trying to remember my political geography now, was a strong PNP area.
Yeah, man, still be.
Still, yeah.
I have friends there and we're working something there at the moment.
Oh, you mean you're working something there?
We're not going into that. You just come back from Hushing Baby, Mr.
No, but I use not drawing a card for me.
Mr. Hughes.
Where you do a Canaanites?
I was there Friday night up till almost 1 o'clock.
Organized?
Having a drink and eating a steamed fish and...
Yeah, organized. Who you work for?
Mr. Hughes.
Who you work for?
I must say me from Kingston down here. No.
Oh, Delroy. Feda.
Yes, I'm Feda. Oh. I must have my Ken here staying with always like a spot comrade there still. But it can't work, man. It can't work, man.
Canaanites are strong PNP area, man.
Yeah, but it can't work, man, Mr. Hughes.
You don't think it can't work, man?
Mr. If Rhoda could have sent one bunting till he can't find a Biden city now, why it can't work, man?
Okay. All right.
I must have Rhoda mash up PNP now.
When she beat Bunting?
When she killed Bunting.
No, she never killed him. She beat him.
She mash up Bunting.
There's some political truth to that. That ends a problem for PNP.
Anyhow, Mr. Hughes, when you look at Canaanites now,
yes,
the people them who are planning to go demonstrate against the police. I don't know if I worry them, I worry say they not get the money from Mr. Trump anymore. I must see that them to go demonstrate against. Because Mr. use the fellowship and the support where all those years are given to the police now.
Mm-hmm.
Those human rights people have a guest coming the 29th. And, you know, when I think about PMP, you can say what you want to say about them. But if I did them people are going to demonstrate. Some pickaxe stick will be there for bust up all some of them. You know, they have a water commission.
Mm-mm.
So when the water commission did a plan to go on strike.
Carl, we're not in that. We're doing that. We're not into that.
We're not into that.
And you shouldn't be into that.
No, me not go say me into
Anybody
that.
want demonstrate, make them demonstrate. You will take about pickaxe stick. What kind of backwardness is that?
Mr. Hughes. Mr. Hughes.
Yes, sir.
You can't know, say, when you look for a funeral home, a couple years ago, a couple months ago, a pack of young people, and you are here, say, crime are going down by 37% in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
You should be held clapping the police, pick them up, and tell them, say, here.
But that means say if you got pick up pickaxe stick and attack those who differ from you.
You can me wrong here, so no, Mr. You. Man, you say me, I said, then if you go get beat. No, I'm not saying that.
What are you saying?
When the comrades them was here in the water commission, people then they want to go on strike. Them get people to push back on them.
Mm-hmm.
People need to push back on these human rights.
And the same thing I said.
We can't go.
See that? Same thing I said. Same thing may accuse you of. That's you confirm it.
We can't go out, Mr. Hughes.
We're not going back there, so.
Yeah.
We're not going back there. People want to demonstrate, them free to demonstrate. Yes? So long them stay within the law. You don't have no right for talk about them can't demonstrate. But pick a stick. You're out of that.
Mr. Hughes, then if you go, Mr. Hughes, when you go nowadays, Mr. Hughes,
what you should be saying, they will go there and they will realize that there are very few in numbers. That's the story. They're not getting no support.
So you say, if we take a drive, come after tree, we come stand up beside the police and say we don't want them politicians there then.
Well, whatever, but me not in on the pickaxe stick thing.
Well, never get a bus load and come in. Come and supporting the police.
Then isn't there a day, I'm told, Chevron, that they are to wear blue to support the police?
Yeah,
the same day. So that's it. So therefore, you and your friend they wear blue.
You put blue all over my vehicle. I run with them human rights.
And then you make the point. Yeah.
Mr. you see from Colin Gomes finish with human rights head. Yes, sir. It dead and buried. It is politician take it over now. Fully politician.
Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, Carl. Yeah.
Hello?
I am glad that I have lived to see.
Hello?
Hello, you hearing me? Hello, Carl? Carl not hearing me. I am saying to you that you don't need to go back there. A lot of Jamaicans are quietly satisfied that we are living at a time when we are no longer hearing on the news at 5 o'clock. There were 5 murders today across Jamaica. Or this follows 7 yesterday. Yeah? I was saying to her, it was today I was saying it in the news.
Yes.
Yeah? When was the last time we were reporting or we reported that there were 7 murders, 6 murders, or whatever? It's been quite a while. And that's how we want it to remain and to get even fewer murders. Yes? So let us commend the police and say to Commissioner Blake and his men and women, keep on doing what you are doing.
Even I didn't expect to live to see the day where we have a reduction of excess of 30% in murders.
In murders, yeah. That is, by any measure, any criterion, yeah, that's good, right? So those who want to pour scorn on it, let them do that. They have a right to do that, yeah? But we're not going to pick up something here, Carl. How about with that? That's it?
I believe that is it for the evening. Yes, it would seem so. Everybody's just happy to have Cliff Hughes, the grandfather, back.
The grandfather. Oh, boy, I tell you. You know, I actually missed work.
You missed work?
Yes.
That doesn't bode well for your future retirement.
Oh, that's another thing. But you know, you do this for so many years. After a while, you said you get into a pattern in your body. At 4 o'clock, yeah, you said, but I should be.
Yeah, I know ready. How that feels. You're not sure what to do with yourself. You have time on your hands. You're not sure what to use it for.
Yes, and my doctor said nope, knock me out. I sleep like a baby. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave it for this evening. We want to say thanks to all of our callers, our YouTubers out in their numbers. Thank you very much, Jacqueline Thomas. Jacqueline Thomas says, she will take care of me when I'm in my elderly years. Thank you, Jackie.
No elder abuse for Cliff Hughes.
No, not at all. Thanks to all of our callers as well, our producer, Dana Davey, our news editor, Cara Powell and her team. Thank you all so much. Our technical operators, yes, Mr. Damien Cunningham and Boogs. Thank you all so much. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Reminding you, take care of your loved one and look out for your neighbor. Good night.